Coming up on the Fish Hunt Forever podcast.
And you go up and you grab the drag, like, did you touch it? He's like, yeah, I backed it off. It was too tight. I'm like, no, it's set. Don't touch it.
Yeah. Part of the reason why we use heavy gear is, really for the safety of the fish and for our anglers.
But like, so is the bite good when it's cold? And you're like, no.
No.
You're just really looking for that quieter ice that hasn't been fished with the thought that those fish are going to be underneath it because there's so many fish.
This is the Fish Hunt Forever podcast, formerly Sporting Journal Radio, presented by OnX. Know where you stand with OnX. Alrighty, welcome to the show. We got a long one for you guys today.
It's a good one, though.
Holy smokes. Yeah, it is a good one.
It's long because we're having fun.
Yeah, for sure. That is the voice of Dan. Oh, there, now we can see him. I say that's the voice of Dan Amundsen. And
Thanks.
Smokey the Bear.
Yeah, Smokey Day.
Smokey Bear or Smokey the Bear? Have we had determined?
I don't know. I mean, I didn't ask him the one time I met him, but he was also a mascot, so he didn't speak.
David, were you ever traumatized by a mascot?
Nope.
At an early age. Have you ever been around a mascot? Living out here in the country?
Not a lot.
One of my first jobs, I think I was 16, and it was my first DJ job. I was DJing at a skating rink, roller skating rink.
Nice.
It was in Woodbury, Minnesota. It was Wooddale.
Oh, that place. I was there once.
They had a mascot, a woodchuck, because it's Wooddale in Woodbury, so of course it's a woodchuck. So my first day, they made me dress up in the mascot costume, and I had 8-year-olds trying to trip me on the roller skating rink just constantly, and it was 150 degrees in there. The costume probably hadn't been cleaned in 150 years.
Not since day one. Never been cleaned.
Painful.
No way!
So much to get to. We just got done recording a couple interviews that we're going to play back for you on the show this week, including the 3 guide services that we went down to Punta Gorda. If you're watching this right now, you're seeing some of the footage from our video on the Fish Hunt Forever YouTube channel.
Yeah!
Jay Withers from Silver Lining Charters or Guidelines TV is going to be joining us. Jesse McDowell from Florida Inshore Extreme Charters is going to be joining us. And also Tom Knapp from Knapp Out. Oh, God dang it. I know I wrote
Not
it down.
that Tom Knapp.
It's a different Tom Knapp than the one you've probably seen at Game Fair or whatever. Knapp Outdoor Expeditions. These guys are all great. Just incredible anglers and guides. Just top-notch guide services down in Florida. If you're going to go down there and do some fishing, which you have to do, and in this podcast, we're going to convince you to book a trip to Florida and go saltwater fishing down there. And we have 3 guides that are perfect for you to book a trip with. But as we'll find out later in the show, you need to book them now because they're big. Yeah. They're going to be busy.
It will convince you it's fun, but if you're a guy who's like, oh, saltwater is dumb, I'm going to turn this off. We talked ice fishing after, too. So
yes,
we've got ice fishing and all that fun stuff. But I think if you ever go saltwater fishing, you're going to go, oh, ice fishing? Do I really want to do that again? I mean, it's fun, but
it's unbelievable. So we have a long interview for the podcast listeners. We have a long interview with the guides. And then we go to Joe Henry and Marshall Monk from Lakeroad Lodge up at Lake of the Woods. We're going to get a fishing report from the walleye capital and also just kind of learn a little bit more about Marshall's history up there. And he does these fishing reports that he's getting that have become very popular for him. And we're gonna hear a little bit more about those and what his perspective on Lake of the Woods and giving you an accurate, up-to-the-minute fishing report. We'll talk to him about all of that coming up. But most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, we have a new camera for David.
I'm clear. I'm not fuzzy.
And you know
Ew,
why?
David.
Because it's your birthday.
It's
Happy
true.
birthday, David.
Well, thank you.
Oh, it was a couple days ago, but still.
Close enough.
Happy birthday. Was it a big one? I don't even know how old you are.
36.
36. All right. Well,
so
just
you
another day.
Get to... Yeah, I don't know. You can't run for president.
I get to come do the podcast.
You can run for president, can't you?
I think, yeah, you have to be over 35, I think, yeah. So
cool. Do it. Don't, but do it.
We're starting the campaign right now, David for Prez. Hell yeah, brother.
None of that's fun.
Well, we're going to make you some honey pheasant tonight.
I'm pretty excited about that.
As your real birthday present.
Sounds great.
Even though we did spend a bunch of money to get you this better camera.
You said, do you want steak or honey pheasant? And I said, well, I have steak all the time. I never have honey pheasant because I pheasant hunt
Zero.
twice a year. So
Yeah.
I was really
let's go
excited.
honey pheasant.
I was really excited you said honey pheasant because if it was steak, I was probably going to have to be the one to cook it.
I mean, yeah, he does a pretty good job at it. I probably would have asked him to cook it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now I don't
I
have
think
to.
he was more mad because he was worried it was going to be some of his venison. That
Oh,
I'm not worried. No, I'm not worried about that. I shot a couple deer this year.
yeah, you did.
I'm sitting all right.
Well, we have some fish. We could have done some fish too, and I'd like to start to replenish some of our fish supply. We're getting down there a little bit,
What do
but
you mean?
it's,
We just came back from Lake Winnipeg with a limit.
and we ate some of it too.
We did?
I think so.
I don't think we did.
Oh, well, that's why we haven't gone fishing then. I just figured it's because the weather's been cold.
Yeah,
So
that's
cold.
kind of the biggest thing.
Brutal.
It's a good time to catch up on the computer work, watch a wild game or two, and get excited for. Man, I started to get excited for spring. I saw Shields' deal on this live scope bundle.
Yeah.
Crazy deal.
Yeah, and I'm immediately thinking in my most people will see that and go, oh, that'll be great for the rest of ice season. I'm like, that's gonna look good on this not brand new, but this new used boat that I'd like to buy at some point if I ever get my boat sold someday. I can't wait for spring.
And it's going to get colder the next couple of
Don't
days.
say that. Don't depress
Cold
me.
week. If you're listening to this on the radio, then it
weekend.
was cold before this. And if you're listening to this on the podcast, it's going to get cold after this.
Unless
Friday.
you're listening to this in May.
Yeah, then it was cold before this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It still might be cold, I guess.
Well, if you're listening to it
anywho,
in May, you missed the SGR 500, which sucks
that's
because it's a good time.
poor planning.
That's coming up in April 7th and 8th, based out of Riverbend Resort. We're making plans now. Get your rooms booked. I have to talk to Paul, but I'm assuming he'll do a special rate again. The SGR 500 rate, probably. So if you want to get a room booked before everybody else does, because last year it got pretty full in there last year for this tournament. It was a good time.
It's a great time.
Yeah. You going to make it, David?
I absolutely will make it.
Okay. Just want to make sure.
Absolutely, you will. Except for last 2 years ago.
Yeah, it was 2 years ago.
That's what I said.
I couldn't get out of it. I tried.
It's a lot of fun, and you can win some cash. You can catch some big fish. You'll have a good time, I promise. And we'll donate to the Keep It Clean program up at Lake of the Woods as well. It costs you $45 to enter. It's $5, I think, fish donkey fee, and then it's $40. We pay out 25% for biggest walleye, 25% for biggest sturgeon, 25% goes to Keep It Clean, and 25% goes to basically our administrative costs. So
I thought you were pro material, trying to make the big bucks.
there's a new. There must be a new one.
What kind of big bucks?
What kind of big
It's
bucks?
still going. What kind of big bucks? Well, last year, first place got $720.
Big
No.
bucks.
Yeah, all right, I'll see you guys there.
Not bad for a $40 entry fee. I think the biggest sturgeon was like 65 and a half, maybe 64 and a half, something like that.
The biggest sturgeon?
Yeah.
71.
Yeah,
Oh,
it
did
was
we have a
over, it was
71
over
last year?
70.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then the biggest walleye was your dad,
Yep.
20.
28 and some change.
There you go. All right.
I just watched the video the other day because I'm so excited.
So we need to come up with a theme for this year. So we did the sturgeon stash contest as well last year. We'll come up with.
We could run it back.
We could.
I don't know if I want to. I kind of don't like.
Should we do the
See what the suggestions are.
Yeah, should we do the
Boy.
sturgeon stash again, or should we do walleye whiskers? Should we do a burbot beard? Comment below your thoughts and let us know.
Just not clean shaven. I refuse to clean shave. I will not.
Because we'll make new merch for it too. So we'll have special hoodies for the tournament this year that some of the winners will probably get free hoodies out of it, and then you'll be able to buy them too. And then last year we did a mug, and if you bought the mug, you got a beer. Like I think you got your first beer free, if I remember right.
And then it was like $3 refills, which it was like a 16 or 18 ounce.
22, I
I think it was a 22, and I don't remember the exact
it was.
price, and I don't know what it'll be this year, but we'll have a drink special.
I don't
for you,
remember
too.
how many ounces it was. I had quite a few of them.
Settle down. Well, speaking of merch.
Yeah, we got some new merch. Do you have I figured you have a picture of it, Dan. Do you not? There it is. Flag. There you go. New hoodies in the Fish Hunt Forever store. Tip up. That is up. The flag is up.
Flag!
And now everybody is sprinting towards it to see who can get to it first. Check those out. New in the Fish Hunt Forever store. There's even one there for a mug as well. And we'll be adding some new merch probably in the next week or so.
Like this.
Oh, yeah. There you go. There's a new. So that's like a
Quarter zip sweatshirt.
quarter zip sweatshirt. Yeah, Dan specifically requested that one.
Well, not quite.
kind of. And then your mom specifically requested one that I still need to make. And she's only been asking for it for like 6 years. So
she's already paid for it too.
Yeah, well,
that's the worst
she
part.
ordered one that was out of stock. That was not my fault, but it's my fault.
It's not your fault. You just took her money and ran. You just took advantage of my mother, which I should punch you in the nose for.
Probably gave it to her free, but maybe
no,
not.
You didn't. Oh. I guarantee it. I've heard about this, Brett. If anyone else took advantage of my mother the way you did, they'd get the snot beat out of them. So watch your back.
No comment. That's no comment there.
I'll get it taken care of, Chris. I promise. All right. So
we threw a surprise birthday party at your own house. You don't know what I'm capable of.
We got to do some headlines, but before we get into those, Dan, who are our sponsors this week on the show?
Lake of the Woods Tourism. Lake of the Woods is the walleye capital of the world. Plan an ice fishing trip to Lake of the Woods at lakeofthewoodsmn.com. Onyx Hunt, see private land boundaries, offline maps, and more. Take 20% off a new membership with the code SJR20. Haybell Heights Campground and Resort, Ice Fish Devil's Lake. Out of a snow bear at Haybell Heights. Learn more at haybellheights.com. And Prairie Sportsman, the new season is coming up. You can watch episodes anytime at the Prairie Sportsman YouTube channel.
All right, we'll do headlines when we come back for our radio audience right here on the Fish Hunt Forever show. Sick of eating tag soup? It's time to own your odds this fall with OnX Hunt, the GPS hunting app trusted by millions of hunters. Now you'll have access to nationwide public and private land ownership information, waypoints, optimal win for each stand, tracks, and much more. All at your fingertips. Go to onxmaps.com/hunt and use code SJR20 at checkout to receive 20% off your membership. That's code SJR20. All right, we're back. It is time for headlines. Headlines. All right, headlines are brought to you by Space Trailers. These are really lightweight really lightweight trailers that can actually handle quite a bit. So I've got a 600-pound trailer that can haul 1,000 pounds. And the biggest thing about these things is they don't take up a lot of space, hence the name. It's not just a clever name, it's Space Trailers. So you can actually remove the tongue if you need to. Say you live in the city. You don't have a lot of space to store a trailer. You can actually tip it up on its tailgate and store it against the wall in your garage. You can pull it with your side-by-side. You can pull it with your ATV. Heck, you can put your ATV or side-by-side in the trailer as well. Mine has space bars on top and a lid that closes on top of it. You can put 225 pounds of gear up there. There's 8 different color options, 3 different wheel and tire options, and find out more about this Minnesota-based company located in Red Wing at spacetrailers.com. All right, we have a lot to get to. I don't know if you guys had a chance to talk to your representatives about the Boundary Waters thing. They're still trying to mine in there, and there are some politicians in the state that I really like, and I've said this many, many times. I'm a conservative that cares about conservation, and sometimes the right gets conservation wrong, and the mining in the Boundary Waters just can't happen, and that's something that's getting pushed on the right, and we need to protect the Boundary Waters at all costs. So if you still I know there were some things going through the legislature this week. If by the time you watch this, if you still have the opportunity to talk to your state representatives, your legislators, please do so and tell them we don't need any copper mining up at the Boundary Waters.
No.
All right, something else that's pretty interesting. I was reading a article from Tim Spielman in the Outdoor News. So we've talked for a number of years about this elk relocation, right? So we have a number of elk. The numbers are around 200-ish up in the northwest part of Minnesota. Well, in recent years, we wrote a big article about it at fishhuntforever.com in 2023 that the elk relocation to northeastern Minnesota and the Fond du Lac Band was going to handle a lot of that management. That was happening. And we were like, heck yeah, man, we're going to start moving animals here. I think 2025 originally they were planning on moving animals over. And then maybe, if it's anything like what Wisconsin went through, we're going to be able to have a hunting season within 20 to 30 years. Like, it was going to take a little while, but in our lifetimes, we possibly have the chance to hunt elk in northeastern Minnesota, and that might give us the opportunity to have more than just 4 tags available for state hunters, which is what we had in the Northwest here last year. That hit a snag, and part of it is because population goals needed to be at a certain threshold before they would move animals from the Northwest to the Northeast. Well, in 2022, the Red Lake Nation started hunting these elk. They hadn't prior to this, but because these elk lived in the 1863 ceded territory that they said, hey, we're going to start hunting these elk. So last year they had 10 tribal tags, state hunters had 4. And last year they said, you know what? Until now that we're hunting these elk, we don't want you moving the elk over to northeast Minnesota anymore. So that, $2.3 million was allocated to get this project done. And now Red Lake has thrown a big giant wrench in the process. So I don't know if we need to grow the population of elk in northwest Minnesota to get this going again. But for now, it's kind of stalled out. There was a memorandum of understanding between the Minnesota DNR and the Red Lake Nation that said no elk will be moved until at least 2026. That agreement ended on December 31st, and now I'm hearing things that nothing can happen at least till 27 because population estimates were below population goals and they can't move them anyway. Were you stretching or raising your hand for something?
Stretching.
Okay. I didn't know if you had something to say there or not. All right, this might hit a little bit closer to home for you, David. Maybe not. But South Dakota is looking at guide licenses once again. Senate Bill 16 would require annual licenses for fishing and hunting guides, $500 for residents, $1,000 for non-residents. There's a couple other stipulations that would go with this. Guides would have to be 21 or older. They'd have to have $1 million in liability insurance. They'd have to have CPR and first aid training. And if you guided without a license, it would be a misdemeanor, with each client being a separate offense. So if you get busted, say you're snow goose guiding in the spring in South Dakota and you got 10 guys in layout blinds, you would have 10 misdemeanors that you would have to deal with. Fees collected for fishing and hunting guide fees collected for fishing guide licenses in South Dakota would be used to enhance aquatic habitat on public waters. So the money raised would go to increase habitat for fishing, while hunting guide license revenue would go towards enhancing terrestrial habitat and supporting public access. Well, how do you feel about licenses, guide licenses in South Dakota? For that matter, how about Minnesota too?
I think it would make...
You're so crystal clear.
I think it would make the serious guys, really get after it, and it would get rid of a lot of the fly-by-night guys.
It would weed them out, for sure. And from my opinion, we have too many as it is. South Dakota, like spring snow goose in South Dakota, dude, that got wild. Probably still is. I've been out of that game for a few years, but it was crazy when I was doing it. Guides everywhere. So anyway, that would change.
Right to jail.
Right to jail. All right, I'm going to do a little bit of trivia for you guys. Are you ready?
Ready.
Huh?
I've got some trivia for you from the National Deer Association. They put out some numbers from the U.S. deer harvest. Excuse me. Now, they put out numbers from 2024. Their annual report just came out. This is from the 2024 season. Nearly 6.2 million deer were killed in the 24 to 25 season.
Hey, I doubt it.
All right, question number 1, where does that number rank in the all-time U.S. deer harvest? Is it number 1, the highest ever? Is it number 2, the 5th highest? Is it number 3, the 8th lowest? Or number 4, the worst of all time?
Number 2.
The 5th highest?
Yeah.
Dan?
Yeah, that's probably the right answer. But just to be different, I'm gonna say the option letter number C.
The 8th lowest. The 5th highest on record is actually correct. Congratulations.
Nice.
Question number 2, how many of the 6.2 million deer that were harvested in 2024 in the United States were antlerless? Is it 1, 3.15 million? Is it 2, 1.5 million? Is it 3, 6.1 million? Or 4?
1.5.
7.
So let's see. B.
1.5. And Dan, what's your
number 2?
answer?
A.
3.15 million is correct. So about half of the 6.2 million deer harvested in the United States in 2024 were antlerless deer. So that means 3.05 million bucks, so just under 50%, like 49.5%, were bucks harvested in the U.S. What percentage of those were over 3.5 years old?
How do they know?
So 21 states, Minnesota does not do this, but 21 states report the age. I don't know how they age the deer. I haven't figured that part out yet, but 21 states actually age the deer. Minnesota, they're either fawns or
adults,
basically.
Antlered male, antlerless.
They'll ask about antler or adult or
fawn male.
buck.
You got it.
Yeah.
So what percentage of just over $3 million bucks in the 21 states that report buck age were bucks over 3.5?
We don't get options.
I'm sorry. Sorry if I forgot we were doing multiple choice. 21%, 2 67%, 3 46%, or 4 12%.
12.
Like A.
21 or 12?
I was going to go 21, but I'm going
Until
12.
there was 12. Yeah, I thought about that.
Well, you're both wrong. 46%. So nearly. So this was a big deal from the National Deer Association. They're saying that nearly half of the 3 million bucks that were harvested in the United States in 2024 were over 3.5 years of the 21 states that report this statistic.
Yeah, say that's the thing. Like, is all this data, is it the total number of deer harvested only coming from those 21 states?
No. So all
this
states,
is a flawed stat.
All states report their harvest numbers. 21 states actually give an age-related statistic to the buck harvest.
46% of those 21 states.
Correct.
Okay, so it's not of all deer, all bucks.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not.
So that's worded very poorly.
It's not.
That's probably my fault.
1.5 million.
Correct. But what I will say is that's up 3%. So last year was 2023. It was 43% were over 3.5. So hunters are getting, in those 21 states anyway.
What state? Do we know what states?
So
'cause it's not Minnesota. It's not Wisconsin. I don't think it's the Dakotas.
It's not.
No, there was a list. So National Deer Association has a report on their website that you can go, and I was going to go through all that, but I didn't honestly expect you to ask me for the 21 states.
Well, I'm just curious if it's like, states
like
with no deer hunting.
So number one was Mississippi. I remember that. They had like 80% or 83% of their bucks were over 3.5 from what I remember.
Shoot a deer smaller than 3.5 in Mississippi. It's about 20 pounds.
True.
So here was an interesting stat, though. What were the top states for the highest percentage of fawns in the antlerless harvest?
Oof.
Is it number 1, Mississippi? Number 2, let's see, I wrote this question wrong. So what? Okay.
It's great trivia.
Oh, God dang it. I totally screwed this up.
Shoot for the stars.
Okay, how about this? Let's see. Where does Minnesota rank for the top states for highest percentage of fawns in the antlerless harvest?
Top 10 for sure, if not top 5.
All right, so Mississippi was number 1. North Dakota was number 2.
Really? Are you sure?
I'm wrong.
Yeah.
So I did actually
What
write.
kind of trivia is this?
I wrote it quickly. So
Good grief.
how did I write that? Anyway, Minnesota and Wisconsin were tied for the 5th highest fawn harvest, with 29% of their antlerless deer being fawns. So out of the top 5 states that killed the most fawns, Minnesota and Wisconsin were number 5. There
Sounds right.
Was it highest total number or was it highest percentage?
It was highest percentage. Well, yeah, I don't know what the total number was, but Minnesota 3 years in a row was 29% fawns for their antlerless harvest. So 29% of their antlerless harvests were fawns 3 years in a row in Minnesota. Wisconsin fluctuated between mid-20s and upper 20s. Overall, 42% of U.S. antlerless deer were 3.5 years or more, though. So 42% of the does killed were over 3.5 years old. And Minnesota had 542,000 hunters. 83% of them were deer hunters. A quarter of that used a bow or crossbow. And 50% of the archery harvest was from crossbows, up from 48%. Is that too many stats?
It's a lot of numbers.
That's a lot to follow there.
Follow
Poor Sap's trying to drive down the freeway to go ice fishing this morning.
Look it up on your phone.
Yeah, that's a lot of jeepers.
All right, you guys both win at trivia. Congratulations, ladies and gentlemen. We got a lot to get to. We have a really cool interview with 3 guides from Florida, fishing the Boca Grande Pass, fishing Charlotte Harbor, fishing for Tarpon and Goliath Grouper. Jay Withers, Jesse McDowell, and Tom Knapp are going to join us next year on the show. Plus, we're going to get a fishing report from Lake of the Woods and get a little bit more history behind Lakeroad Lodge with Marshall Monk and Joe Henry, all coming up on the show. It doesn't get much better than fresh perch and fresh walleye. If you're looking for an exciting winter fishing destination, come to Devil's Lake, North Dakota. Haybale Heights Campground and Resort is on the ice with a fleet of snow bears, keeping you mobile and warm so you can stay on the roaming schools of fish. Haybale Heights on the east end of Devil's Lake has knowledgeable guides, comfortable cabins, and their own lake access, making your trip as successful and stress-free as possible. To book your trip, go to haybaleheights.com. That's haybaleheights.com. All right. So last year, I think it was in May, wasn't it, Dan?
Yep.
We got down to Punta Gorda, Englewood Beach, and did some fishing at Boca Grande Pass and some other places around the area. There was an unbelievable trip. We've got a new video on our YouTube channel, Fish Hunt Forever, that you can watch. We fished with 3 different guide services while we were down there, and we said, hey, we got to have you guys on the podcast. We're going to wait a little bit until the video comes out, until it's cold here and people are thinking about warm weather destinations, and we're going to bring you on the show. And we're going to welcome them now. Jay Withers, Jesse McDowell, and Tom Knapp joining us here on the podcast. Guys, how's it going?
Really good. Thanks for having us.
We're good. Thank you.
So we're just going to do a quick temperature check. So this is Wednesday afternoon, January 21st. Here in western Minnesota. What's the temp here, guys?
The current temp, I believe,
I saw 16 degrees, but it feels like 1.
Feels like 1. Okay.
And that's the warmest it's going to be. Yeah, that's the warmest it's going to be for a long time.
A few days.
Yeah.
We have an extreme cold warning through 11 a.m. Friday morning. And I think Friday, so we have 35 to 45 below wind chills expected.
Yeah. Tomorrow night is negative 18. And the high for Friday is negative 8.
So tell me again, guys, how cold it is down there and how tough it is.
Well, look, I just looked. It's currently 71.
No, it's
71 now. But, but don't let that fool you, because these guys can tell you that, like, Monday, Tuesday, it was 37 degrees here in the morning.
Yeah.
And
T-shirt weather.
Florida goes full panic mode when that happens.
I bet. Well, we saw it. I think I saw it on Tom. I saw it on your story on Instagram. You were going out. It was 41 degrees, which, you know, for us, we're excited, especially this time of year. If it's 41 and we can fish out of a boat,
Can't wait.
Heck yeah, nothing's freezing up. You know,
Guides aren't freezing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Everything on your boat's not frozen at that point.
Your boat doesn't get stuck to your bunks when you launch. That's a real thing. It happens.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You got to wait for all the water to drain off your trailer before you pull it out. Otherwise, the ramp freezes and the next guy can't get in or out. And it's a thing.
I remember we dumped a boat in one time. I think we were actually duck hunting. It was late season duck hunting with our buddy Tony. We were trying to dump a boat in, and the motor was trimmed up. It froze that way.
Yeah.
We couldn't even put the motor down once we put it in the water. Everything was, it froze like instantly once it hit the water. So tell me again how cold it was for you guys.
Yeah.
There.
Well, I've said for years, we never get any sympathy for cold from anybody up north. And I understand. I grew up in Ohio, so I understand what cold is. Maybe not Minnesota cold, but it is cold, and I'm not a huge fan of it. That's why I got out of there.
Well, it's all relative, right? Like, I mean, you guys can put up with the summers down in Florida. I would melt. I would pass away immediately, probably in July.
You barely made it through May.
Yeah, it was a struggle for sure.
Sometimes it gets like that, though. I mean, I've had discussions with Jay, and I'm like, "How is it out there, Jay?" And Jay's like, "Man, it's Africa hot. It's really hot." Like sometimes our water temperatures will get in the back bays will get back up into 90, 95 degrees or something like that. You know, I mean, it's hot.
Yeah.
That's bonkers.
Yeah, that's a bit warm. I remember when we were down there in May, I remember walking from the air-conditioned house that we had rented to the vehicle to drive out. I was like, ugh.
I walked
And then we
50
get
feet.
out. Yeah, we'd get out in the water and be like, okay, this ain't so bad out once you get out there, you know.
But you'd watch every morning, and if you watch the video, you'll see just a little hint of fog on the camera lens. You're trying to wipe it off. Tarpon's trying to jump. You're trying to film it, and it's just foggy as can be. I'm like, dang it. I wanted that shot, and it didn't get it.
Yeah,
It was
stupid
But
humidity.
a lot of times in early May, we'll still be wearing jackets in the morning. No, it's still a little cool.
Oh yeah.
We were in
65.
Orlando for ICAST a couple of years ago, and it was so like we bass fished at Disney World. It was what was it, Dan? 102 or something like that.
I don't know. I stopped caring. I just knew it was hot.
Once it gets over 95,
It's like when it's cold. It's like it gets below 15 below or something. It can't get any colder, even if it's 50 below, and if it's above 90, it's warm.
Hot is hot.
Yep.
But cold weather, hot weather, catching fish always makes you forget about some of those elements. And I got to tell you guys, that fishing that we did down there on that trip was unreal. And Dan and I have talked about it a lot. And David, I don't know how much, have you done much saltwater fishing?
A little bit, not a lot.
Loser.
Went to Texas a couple years ago, but
We we grew up in Minnesota, right? 10,000 lakes. We're walleye fishermen, so we're fishing a lot. We're bass fishing, whatever. We have an opportunity to fish a lot, and then you turn on, Sportsman Channel, and you'd see these guys down in Florida and be like, all right, well, whatever. We're the real fishermen up here, in Minnesota. And then you go and do it, and it's like, okay, now I want to go do it again. And now I know why so many people from Minnesota go to Florida and spend their entire winters down there. Because once you catch fish, it seems like those fish just fight harder down there in the saltwater, it seems like.
We tend to ruin a lot of the average angler that fishes freshwater. They'll catch some of those, whether it be walleye or bass or whatever, and then they come down and fish, whether it's Goliath Grouper or some of those juvenile tarpon in the backcountry that Tom's all over. It ruins people a lot of times because they're getting something that now is pulling a lot of drag. And that's what keeps them coming back for more.
Yeah, Jay, you probably get this too a lot of times as well, because what'll happen is the first thing that people do when they get on the boat, they grab the drag and they pull it, and they're like, oh, that's way too tight, and they'll back it off. And then you'll hook up with a fish, and all of a sudden you're like, why are you getting spooled? And you go up and you grab the drag, like, did you touch it? He's like, yeah, I backed it off. It was too tight. I'm like, no, it's set. Don't touch it.
Yeah.
It's funny.
That gets them straight in the penalty box, isn't it?
That's right.
And we fish with guides enough that we usually, when they hand us the equipment, we understand it's the equipment that works. It's set up for the way it works. So I usually don't mess with any of that stuff. But I don't know how many times I wanted to tighten the drag, fighting some of those tarpon. Even Tom, when I hooked up with that one with you, like it's just line just peeling out, and all I just wanted to start turning that drag a little bit, just give her a little crank, but. Yeah, I mean, obviously they're set that way for a reason. And guys, that tarpon deal down there, whether it's the big ones at the pass or the juveniles, like that, is that the main part of your business? Is that the big time of the season for you guys, or is that just part of what you guys do down there in Florida?
Yeah, I think all of us have our own little game, but without question, the tarpon drives a lot of tourism here to Southwest Florida and Florida in general. So, I built a lot of my business on the tarpon fishing. I know Jesse did as well. I think Tom is so versatile. He can basically pull on them anytime. But I think that, when they're here, we want to catch tarpon. I mean, big or go home, right?
And they were big. They were tough. Like in that first morning, we hooked up with that one. I hooked up with that one right away. And I don't know how many videos we watched before we went down there. Like, all right, when they jump, drop your rod tip. We're like, okay. And then you jump and you're like, it's easier said than done.
You got to be a participant more so than a spectator at that point.
Yeah.
That's right.
Oh gosh, it was so much fun. And then we broke off on that first one. I don't remember how long, Dan, that fight was with that first fish.
A couple minutes, I don't know.
Yeah.
Not very long, but jumped a couple times. It
was right away. My rod was I remember that rod doubled over and that fish was below the boat. And like I was doing everything I could just to hold on for dear life. And we, we're like, fish doesn't even realize it's hooked yet. I'm like, what? Oh my gosh. And then, you describe it when it broke off, you described it as it was going down there, getting back to the school and just pinballing through maybe 500 other tarpon. And then you explained to us, Jay, maybe just explain again kind of that hook up to landing ratio that you guys all deal with down there.
Yeah, that's the tricky part, and a lot of times for first-time tarpon anglers, it's try to wrap your head around what's going on with that many fish, below us. It happens a lot, specifically in the passes in the deep water, but even happens on the beach when the fish gets so balled up that when you come tight on one, he's going to rip that line right through the middle of all those other fish. And, the braided line can only handle so much. And we're using either, sometimes 60 pound, 80 pound braided line, sometimes even 100 pound. But it's just, part of the reason why we use heavy gear is, really for the safety of the fish and for our anglers. but yeah, I think, you got to see it firsthand when that fish comes tight, it's off to the races and it's a fight or flight. So a lot of times you'll see them skyrocket out of the water. They get a big run from 60 feet down, and the aero acrobatics are pretty impressive. But they do know that safety in numbers, so they'll go right down in the mix of that, and you do everything you can to get on top of them and try to pull them out of that school. That's why we use a lot of drag to try to pull that out.
We fish for some big fish. Dan and I spent a lot of time up in northern Saskatchewan chasing big lake trout and big northern pike up there. We're running 60-pound braid a lot of times and some heavy rods, heavy gear. Still didn't prepare me for what we dealt with 100-pound plus tarpon down there. And Jesse, that fish, full disclosure, Pat set the hook on it, or Pat hooked it first, and he'd already landed one, so he handed the rod off to me. Which normally we don't do that necessarily. If somebody hooks a fish, we let them fight it. But we kind of felt like this was a little bit of a different deal.
We all just wanted to experience a tarpon.
Fight.
That's it. Like landing one was kind of a bonus, and getting to feel the bite, whatever. We all just wanted to feel the raw power of a tarpon.
Just to fight one.
Absolutely. Even if it was just for a couple minutes or whatever.
And I think the goal. I think he caught one that I declined the handoff on, and then finally I was like, all right, I'll take this one. And then I fought it for like 6 hours or something like that.
It was like 20 minutes.
I don't remember. It was intense, and whether that was the way I was fighting it or what. I mean, we were watching tarpon land in other boats while this was going on. we were pinballing between other boats through there, and it was kind of windy. I think it was raining that day. The weather was
horrible.
It was not great. And it was intense. Like, how often do you end up with was that uncommon? Was there something we could have done differently there, or is that just the way it goes sometimes?
I think what we try to do, and it's something that we've developed. I mean, Kelly and I have been doing it for 15 years. Jay's been doing it for what, 20 something now, Jay?
23. Yeah, 23 now.
Yeah, and so you do it year and year and year, time after time, and you start to see the patterns. So then you try to figure out, okay, what can I do different to not have that happen? And the tight drags. And what we try to do is we try to get that fish right under the nose of the boat when we're in heavy traffic, right? So Kelly's usually up in the tower, and Jay will tell you this too. He calls me the whisperer or whatever or something, but I'll get it right up there. And there's a lot of knowledge that we've gained over the years that we have to try to. There's a very short window, so you have a very short learning curve. Mistakes are made, it's over, as you guys saw. So I try to get up there and I try to get in their ear, and I'm their coach. Once we hook up, we get them to the chair so that everybody's safe. Kelly can maneuver the boat, or I can maneuver the boat, or whoever's driving can maneuver the boat and be safe about it. And in that, there's like little details too, like if you start to feel your line jitter, you're on something, you're on another fish, just like Jay was saying. And it's no different like if you were to take a piece of line and you're out in the woods and you take off running with that piece of line, you hook around a tree, it's going to break just like that. So we try to keep our lines tight. We try to get over top of the fish, once they get a couple of jumps out of it, they'll sound again. They'll come back up. They'll jump. And usually we're right there with them saying, okay, get ready. He's going to jump. He's going to jump. He's going to jump. You up, bow. Then the fish goes back in the water. When you do get around other boats, you try to maneuver as best you can. You feel, you watch, you're looking. There's a lot that goes into it. And it only takes one thing to go wrong, and it's over. So.
Yeah. I think I called it insanity. I've definitely called it chaos probably 100 times. It was wild. That hands down one of the wildest fish battles I've been a part of for sure. And Tom, that one that we kind of did battle with there in the canals, like that's a completely different experience. Yet there were so many similarities about it because, and it's obviously they're juveniles, so they're smaller fish than the ones that you're catching out in the past. But this was still a pretty nice fish. And what did it jump on us? 4 times, Dan? Something like that?
Well,
3 right away?
I think something like that. It jumped. I don't know.
And we're fighting this fish, David, only instead of that big, we're still using strong gear, but instead of that big, real super heavy stuff, we're basically using walleye gear.
It was the exact setup I keep in my boat to go catch a 6-pound walleye. Yeah. The exact setup. 7-foot rod, whatever, medium power, and made it fun.
I don't know if you remember that, that fish exactly, Tom, but I remember, if it's over 40 inches, you can't take them out of the water. So you're down, leaning over, touching leaders, taking pictures, things like that. But you said that one was probably getting close to that size out there.
Yeah, back in those canal systems, even up the river, contingent on where they're at. Before, and these other professionals, two captains here with us too, that two very, very highly regarded professionals, they'll maybe agree with me or tell me different, but I believe that they're there until they hit maybe 40 to 50 pounds. And then they might do the weird thing where we have a lot of resident giant fish up the rivers that just don't migrate and do the spawning thing. But I think predominantly most of those fish, once they hit about 40, 50 plus pounds, they'll move out of those canal systems and they'll start to do their migration thing, which is obviously a natural thing. So yeah, that was a big one that you hooked though, for sure. And you're correct about the tackle. It's same thing in the past. Obviously, it's a bigger thing in Boca Grande when you're fishing for them, or anywhere. We're in those big migratory groups where they are threatened by a lot of sharks underneath them, but also just general pressure on the bigger fish. You don't want to wear them out because these are so important for our fishery here. So obviously you have to be a little bit heavier with your tackle on those bigger fish. But I try to match the size of the fish with the tackle for the smaller ones without you don't want to beat them up again. You don't want to be too long, but you want it to be fun. So we're using 10-pound braid, 3,000 size reels, and a medium light rod. And usually they get it done. I tell people how to put the pressure on, just like how you did it. You did great. You did exactly what I asked. I didn't even have to really tell you what to do. But yeah, I always try and match the tackle for the situation, which all you guys, I'm sure, do the same thing.
And of course, I had to mess around with the camera as I'm hooking into that fish too. Of course, that's when we hook into that.
That made it hilarious.
You can't script it any better than that.
Just staring into Pat's face like an eye doctor.
Is it on?
I'm like, my GoPro running? Yeah. We do this for a living, I swear.
Well, Tom mentioned you're going to feel your bait get chased. So, and with that lighter gear, I felt my rod kind of tap a little bit like that. And I'm like, okay, something's going on right there. I need to make sure I'm filming this because I know, Dan, you were standing there with a camera, but as more cameras, the better. We want to capture something like this. So I'm like, all right, God dang, did I start this stupid GoPro? Pat, I don't know if it's, I don't know.
It's a red light.
Dang it. All right. And to be fair, the front screen probably had shut off, so I can't really blame him for that. But
no, blame Pat.
But that was a wild fight, and I thought we were gonna have him, and then he headed for that
sailboat. Stupid sailboat.
God dang it.
Yeah, those damn sailboats.
Dang wreck. It's just like being on Lake Minnetonka around here.
At least it wasn't a wake boat. Yeah. Sailboats are fine.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, that's kind of a neat thing. And it was so wild fishing with Jay, in Charlotte Harbor, the pass there, and then going into these small canals. It's such it's the same general area, but such a different experience. And I remember you saying to me on the boat, Tom, well, if you don't mind fishing like in the concrete jungle here, and yeah, it's kind of, I mean, you don't have that wilderness necessarily feel to it, but if the fish are there, I don't really care. Like, you know, I mean, let's go where the fish are. And, you know, the nice thing, like we were talking with Jesse about how the weather was, we get back in those canals, like the water's calm. You just kind of kick back and relax a little bit. And there's obviously fish there. And we saw on the drone, what were those drums swimming around?
Yeah, big black drums swimming around there too. You know, it is a concrete jungle, and it's not everyone's cup of tea, and I get that. You know, I come from a fly fishing background, and in the later months in the season, those fish move out of those canals and they feed heavily. September, October time particularly, August, September, October, and they'll feed usually what's flushing out the rivers. So that's when it's killer for me, because you can get them just out the flats on the mouths of those canal systems. You know, that's ideal for me, but I have a lot of clients, and I also have a lot of captains that give me a lot of crap for it. They call me a channel fisherman and this, that, and the other. And you know what? The bottom line is, if that's what my clients are happy doing, then I'm doing my job, right? And I do have a good list of clients that have done the Boca Grande thing, but they're too old for it. They don't want to fight 100+ pound fish because they're killer. You know, they'll beat the crap out of you, and they love just coming catching the small ones now. It's a quicker fight. And but the canals can be fantastic if you're happy to put up with it. There's also tons of jacks in there. There's always tons of snook. So it's whatever floats your boat. And I have people that don't want to fish back there. So we'll go up the river. You know, there's variations. Yeah.
Well, that
obviously,
river,
I just want to put people on the fish.
The river's definitely kind of a more wild type experience too, and we were boating along and seeing manatees and
gators,
alligators, and then that one spot we stopped and fished. And I just filmed, and you and Pat Dan just caught, I don't know, it was like every cast.
All them snook, the little snook hole,
and
mangrove
snapper.
That was a good little bite there.
Yeah.
That was a good little bite back there, and. Stuff like that. It is phenomenal. I mean, today though, I fished the river today. We caught 30 or so snook, a couple of redfish, a couple of jacks, but tarpon were up there. We were rolling, and you boys, you know how they're like when they roll in this cold weather. It's just like such a fast roll, and then they're straight back down on the bottom, and they just lay there. They don't want nothing to do with it. And the guys were like, "Can we stay longer and try?" And I'm like, "No." They're like hormonal teenagers, you know. You just can't. In fact, tarpon period. I always say to people, I will figure out women before I figure out tarpon.
I think the way those fish, where those tarpon roll like that. I mean, that was just pretty cool for a guy like me to see and for us to take pictures of and to film. I can't remember whose boat I was in, but at one point I just sat with my camera rolling slow-mo, just trying to get that school rolling up on the surface and coming out. And they're grabbing air, or what are those guys doing up there?
Yeah, definitely grabbing air. Yeah. They have a swim bladder that they can fill with air, which helps them with buoyancy, especially in deep water, but also hot water. You're here in the canals, especially, they'll see them roll a bunch because the water is a little warmer back there, and it doesn't have the flux of tide that comes in from the Gulf. But you'll see them, and even hotter yet, July, August, you find a group of tarpon, and they'll be rolling everywhere because the dissolved oxygen is much, much lower in the summertime, and they'll come in here and they'll be rolling everywhere. And it's like, where do you want to cast? You know, it's an amazing sight to see. As you saw that day, you see full-grown tarpon rolling, and sometimes hundreds of them. It's a sight to behold for sure.
It's wild, and it was nice because as you drift, the way that we were fishing is basically you get up on top of the school and you drift across them. We were using crabs one day. I think we were using shrimp, some different types of live bait. And you drift through them, and all of a sudden the school will be gone. You'd look around for them, and then all of a sudden you just see them roll and be like, oh, there they are. All right.
Well, it was great too because you got excited to film that, which meant I got to fish. once you find something you want to film, it's fishing time for Dan, and that's perfect.
All I wanted, like the one I went down there. I mean, obviously we wanted to capture everything, but I wanted to get that slow motion jump so bad, and I wanted to get tarpon coming up out of the water. I would have honestly probably sat with the camera the entire time trying to grab that shot.
Well, as we found out, the thing I still can't wrap around my head with a tarpon is how it jumps in one spot, hits the water, and is out of the water again in about a half second, like 30 yards away.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how it happened. I don't know how they do it. It's I was fascinated with how a tarpon can do whatever the heck they do. It's so cool.
And the trouble with that is you're usually, like where you say to bow, so you're usually that first jump, you're laid out, right? You got your rod, you're giving it all she's got. You can't give her any more. It goes back in the water. You think, "Whew, I'm good to go now," and that fish turns right around and is back in the air. And that's usually when stuff goes bad because you're already laid out and you don't have anything left to give. So something's going to give, and it's usually your leader or the line or something. We've had the rods go, shoot, bye-bye.
I believe it.
Oh, no.
I believe it.
Well, and I want to keep talking about tarpon, but Jesse, let's just sidetrack for 1 second because I remember going out. It must have been, I can't remember if it was our second day with them or our first day when you had the bows, and I was like, oh, we're getting to bowfish, and David and I have bowfish.
Well, you guys were down here for 3 days, right? So you were with Jay, then you were with Tom, and then you came with us, but then you went with us the morning that you guys left, right?
Yeah. So we fished 4 days, and David and I and some other buddies around here, we've done a lot of bow fishing up here for big carp and buffalo and things like that. And I had no idea that bow fishing was going to be a part of our experience down there. We just thought we were going to go out for Goliath Grouper and maybe some tarpon or whatever. And you're like, oh yeah, we're going to go get some bait first. I'm like, oh, hell yeah. Like, let's go shoot some stingrays. Like, this is awesome. Yeah. That to me, I mean, to be able to fish for tarpon, be able to have a chance at a, 3, 4, 5, 600 pound Goliath grouper and get to bowfish, like that's a pretty cool experience down there.
Yeah, we've kind of done that as part of our trips. I mean, and we kind of recognize that early on. That's part of the trip. When we tell people we're going to go out and we're going to go for Goliath, but we got to go grab some bait first. I mean, yeah, you can take a cast net out, you can go for mullet, and we could be prepped and ready to go and then go out. But I've had people say, man, I do this the whole entire time. So, we've got our little areas that we try to go to and we hit, and we know kind of where the waters are and where they have a tendency to, and Jay will give me a call. He'd be like, hey man, I was back over here and there was a lot of stingrays over there. So then we'll slip over and pick a couple up, and it's a really good bait. I mean, they'll eat just about anything. I mean, anything that they can, that's in distress. We had one barf up a sea turtle that was probably about the size of a really large serving platter. They will eat anything. Lobsters, we've had them with stingray spines in their cheeks, spadefish, just you name it. They barf it up, just like any fish when you catch them and they regurgitate it. But yeah, it was part of the trip. So
yeah, when you're that big and your mouth is that big, you're eating whatever you want, pretty much. And
yeah. And that's why they're there. I mean, most of the times what we find is that when they're sitting there, they're eating the crabs. Like around August time, they'll start to hit those crabs on the surface. And, there was one early in our career, I kept hearing this sound like somebody threw a Volkswagen in the water next to us, and I kept missing it, right? I'm looking over, I'm in a tower, and I look over, and I'm like, what was that noise, right? Something huge just splashed. And then finally one day I just happened to be looking in the spot, and there was a crab swimming by, and like a 100, 200 pound Goliath came up and just crushed it like a topwater bait. And I'm like, oh my gosh, they're eating crabs on the surface. And that was pretty cool to watch that. So
how come we weren't throwing topwater baits? I want to do that now. That sounds amazing. Back.
How many times did Pat ask probably all of you guys, hey, I've got this jig, can you care if I throw this swim bait around or do that? Right. I mean, Tommy, he had that tinsel tackle thing, whatever he's throwing around at the bridge there, and
that's right. Though, but I will say that rod,
I'm glad he did that with Tom.
He got a bite too, I'll give him credit.
Yeah,
it's on camera. And we both set the hook and missed fish, and
pretty typical.
Punch in. Yeah.
You can't. I mean, we're wall anglers in Minnesota using. We're not. We're hook setters up here, man. That's one of the hardest things, and I'm sure you deal with it from guys from up north all the time. Like we're used to setting the hook.
Yeah.
But
well, you put a walleye rod in my hand, Tom, and I got bit. So what did I do? I set the hook.
Yeah, that's right.
Felt like I was back home.
Man, you couldn't have been doing too bad.
I can always tell when we got a walleye fisherman on the boat because they got the rod and they'll start doing this, dink dink dink,
jigging,
dink dink dink. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, stop, just leave it, stop dinking it. You ain't walleye fishing.
There's our next T-shirt. Stop dinking.
Dink dink. Oh, I love it. Yep.
Jay and Tom, you guys probably have seen it just as many times as I have, but you can tell where people are from by how they fish. Like you get the guys that are from like the Midwest, the bass fishermen that are trying to set the hook so hard they're going out the backside of the boat. Yeah. We call that the Bill Dance Booyah maneuver. So none of that. And then you get the walleye fishermen, like Tom said, they that perpetual walleye jiggle. I'm like, all right, stop doing that too. And then you get the fly fishermen. This is the one that kills me, right? So you get the fly fishermen guys that want to hold the line out to the side, and then when you go to when they do go to set the hook, they let go of the line that goes right around the reel handle, and it's instantly broken.
Yes.
It doesn't work with spinning rods quite as well, I don't think.
Well, at least I didn't get a bite and like try to feed it line like I was fishing a Lindy rig or something. Yeah. Actually, maybe that would have been better. I don't know.
Well, it's funny too though when you get to the ramp because sometimes you haven't met these guys, and these are some of my regulars I fished today, but they were dressed appropriately. But sometimes these guys say they're from North Dakota, but you get guys fresh off the plane from Minnesota. It's 56 degrees, 50 degrees, whatever it is. I've got 6-7 layers on, and these boys are like. They're like, oh, so is the bite good when it's cold? And you're like, no. I'm like, why are you wearing T-shirt, shorts, and flip-flops? Are you out of your mind?
No. That's Minnesota accent there that he slipped into. Which we'll get to Tom's accent here later in the interview here. Because we explained in the video on our YouTube channel. We haven't explained what's going on here yet in the podcast. We'll get to it, but I don't remember. I think Jay, you mentioned it to me right away when I showed up on the boat with Crocs. You're like, "This is a full contact sport.
Right?
You need to be dressed a little bit differently for tarpon fishing."
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Crocs are probably maybe they're the comfortable shoes, but they are the worst boat shoe on the planet. And it's just from experience of seeing so many people over the years wear them, and most generally they soak up a lot of street dirt and ends up in my boat. And you all know quickly that morning that I'm a little bit of a fanatic about trying to keep the boat clean, but. I tell everybody, be comfortable, but maybe not that comfortable.
What if you lock them in 4-wheel drive, then, though? Is that all right?
Well, maybe. But you did put the strap behind your ankle at one point, so that was a step in the right direction.
I think that's why it broke.
I really just think if they weren't blue, nobody would be having an issue at all.
But Dan, it wasn't because they were blue. It was they were baby blue.
Yeah.
This is blue right here.
No, they were worse than that,
right.
David.
I mean, I've worn Crocs or fake Crocs for I think 4 days of my life, and they just happened to be on this trip on these boats because I knew it was going to be hot down there.
Now the entire state of Florida knows you as the Croc, and not Crocodile.
I don't care. I was comfortable. My feet get hot. First of all, just like I don't know how you can wear it. Like I like wearing cowboy boots, but my feet sometimes get too hot for that.
Nah, all summer.
All the time.
Well, David ventilates when he's wearing jeans through the backside and the top of his pants.
Needs a
his
belt.
Plumber's crack.
Yeah. I got a built-in vent. So jeans and cowboy boots every day.
Well, guys, you're using heavy gear down there for the tarpon, obviously, with those big fish out in the past, but we were not prepared for what we were using when we went after those Goliaths, Jesse. What was it was like 800 pounds or something like that. Talk about the gear you use when you go after those big fish.
Well, we first started out, and you would think 500-pound line should be plenty. No, it's not.
Yeah.
We upgraded to 650. Now, what happens is it's not necessarily the fish are breaking the line. It's all the garbage down there. So you bump into anything with that much tension on the line, you've got a 400-pound fish. I mean, these fish will pull the nose of the boat around. I mean, there's a lot of times where I've got the trolling motor pointed the opposite direction, trying to stop the boat from spinning so that you guys aren't getting in trouble. There's a lot of dynamics behind that don't necessarily, see, I guess, as far as operating a boat, moving a boat for that. But anyway, yeah, we bumped all the way up to 900 pound monofilament, which the 900 doesn't like to tie. At least, and then we drop back down to the 800.
Yeah, well, it's the size of my arm. Can you imagine trying to tie a knot with this? I mean, it's huge.
Yeah. And we've kind of, over the years, you see a lot of people try to make rigs and all of that. And I've done it all. I've done all of that stuff, and it always fails. Your gear, even no matter how hard you crimp it, if you crimp it too much, you end up cutting the line. You break it anyway. And eventually, you're going to get busted off. So we have gotten to where we just use a hook and a sinker like a knocker rig. And then I ended up, one day I realized that, man, these fish are getting the sinker in their mouth too. They're holding on to the sinker, and then they just kind of let it go. And I looked at the sinker one day, and it's got scratch marks all over the top of it. And it kind of like I had an epiphany. It's like, look at it, you're like, oh, that's their teeth. So I moved the lead up the line a bit so that they would stop getting the lead in their mouth, and it definitely increased our hookup ratio. We kept track one year, and we caught 267 Goliaths to the boat. That's not ones that got off or broke or whatever. That was fish that I had my hands on, and that was one year that we count track, but we don't do that anymore. We actually had a Goliath tracker on the web page, but we did away with that too. Wow. But yeah, it's pretty fun. Big stuff. They tear up a lot of equipment. They hurt people. I've had people get hit in the face with the rod butt because they weren't holding on to it good enough, and it slipped out of the gimbal and bam, hit this lady in the face, cut her really bad. We had a kid the other day. As a matter of fact, I think I still have blood on the reel. I was tightening it up the other day. I looked at it. I'm like, what is on the reel? Is that rust? And I'm like, oh no, that's blood. He had a bloody nose, and it was just gushing all over the reel, all over the boat, all over him, all over everything, all over the line. It was ridiculous. We ended up taking like 10 minutes to have clean blood off the boat. So
wow.
It like Jay said, it is a full contact sport, and everybody likes to show up in flip-flops and Crocs.
Yep. Well, those fish, the tarpon obviously are big, hard fighting fish. They're very athletic. I feel like is a good way to describe them, kind of lean and mean. But that Goliath, I mentioned that we've fished a lot of lake trout, and to me, I think I posted a reel on social media, and I called them lake trout on steroids because just kind of the body shape, the way they fight, they reminded me of a giant lake trout. And I've always told people that those big lakers of 40, 50, 60 pounders are like big. It's like one big muscle. And when they flex and they kick that big tail of theirs, they can move a lot of water, and they can, they pull hard, and they can fight pretty hard. And a lot of times when we were dealing with, when we were filming up at some of these lodges, when we'd have clients out there, the guide would hold the fish for them if we take them out of the water, because you get a guy that's never held a 40-pound muscle, like one big solid muscle before, that thing flips once and it's dropping to the bottom of the boat. Like, they're so strong, and that's a feeling I got from those Goliath groupers. And I don't remember 100, 150 pounds or whatever those fish were that we caught. And I remember the one that I caught, and it was just like that had the rod pinned all the way down against the side of the boat, and I'm just doing everything I can to pin my fake Crocs up against the gunnels and lean back on it, doing everything I can with this big heavy duty rod. And you're just like, that's a little one. Starter fish.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
Yeah.
Like, they fight so
hard. And unfortunately, I don't think we did, but like, it's like a different level. When you get 150, 200-pound fish, I always say those are easy, manageable fish. Yeah, they fight hard, but they don't really do any damage to stuff. But when you get one that's 400, 500, or even 600, like we've gotten some that are 600 pounds before, and I tell you what, it is a night and day difference. I can tell instantly from the tower, like, if it was a smaller fish or if it's a big fish. Like, when they hit, they'll, like, when I say ring the bell, but that rod's inside the gimbal, and it'll go ping, like when it's a bigger fish. And instantly, whoa. And then I'll usually kind of romp on it a little bit to get a little bit of a stern propulsion going, just to give you guys a little bit of a chance to get some line and get ahead of that fish before because they're going to turn and they're going to burn right inside the pylons. But I have learned, too, that the bigger fish, like if I see the fish line going back towards me in the tower, I'm like, oh, that's going to be a bigger fish, because they have a tendency to run away from the structure. So it's kind of strange that, you get small fish go towards it, big fish get out away from it. So.
Well, you think they're trying to head for deeper water, or what? Why do you think they do that?
I don't know. Sometimes it could be just like the manatee's the same thing. You bump a manatee, whatever direction he's pointing, that's the way he's going. So
he's getting away from everybody.
I mean, he'd just be pointed that direction.
Yeah. Huh. Those fish, I don't know how many years we've seen TV shows where it's like you see a picture of a Goliath grouper, you see a guy catch a Goliath grouper, and for guys up here in Minnesota, it's sometimes hard to wrap our heads around a fish that big, especially one that you could catch, jigging basically. So I'm jigging a stingray, but
don't jig it. No, you can't jig it.
Don't twitch it.
No ding ding.
Don't twitch it.
No ding ding.
Jay, let me ask you, we caught, I think between your boat and Jesse's boat, I think we caught fish that were in that. I mean, you're estimating fish, obviously, but you guys, to me, when you've seen as many fish as you have, you can kind of get a pretty good gauge on stuff. It's like muskie guys. They catch a muskie and get a boat size, like, yeah, that's 48 or that's 52 or whatever. You start to get a pretty good eye on it. And we had a couple fish that I think were in that 125 or 115, somewhere in that territory. How when you're fishing out in the past like that, what do you think your average size of tarpon are? And then what's the length on a fish like that?
Yeah, so I think historically the 120 pounder is like the average, and a lot of that depends on the time of year too. A lot of times our early April fish tend to be a little smaller, but when we get the first run of migratory fish, so a lot of those females will start showing up, and then those numbers can be the 180, 200 pound class fish.
Jeez.
But the overall big picture is, everybody asks, like, what's the average fish? Well, we always give them the 110, 120 pound fish. That's kind of the norm. But honestly, I would rather be pulling on that fish than even that 90 pounder, because sometimes that 90 pounder, maybe be a male, right before spawn, he is full of P&V, and he is tough. He will beat you down. Yeah. And honestly, some of the bigger fish, and Jesse can certainly attest to this, in deep water, some of those bigger fish, once you get them coming your way and they jump one or two times, you can end the fight pretty quick with those, because they just lose a lot of their juice that quick. They're so big and so much energy used to come out of the water. We landed some big fish in a relatively short period of time, which is ultimately the goal. And that's why we talked a little bit about, that's why we use the gear we use, just trying to get those fish off the bottom to the boats, for not only the safety of the fish, but for our anglers, because there's a lot of times they're ready to hit the tap out button.
Well, and I don't know if this is a perfect comparison or not, but again, these Lakers that we fish for, we'll catch them, anything over 40 inches we consider a trophy up there, and you catch them in the low 40s. That's kind of a more common fish up there, and then you start to get to the upper 40s. That's you're starting to get into world record size territory to get around that 50-inch mark, depending on the belly size and the girth. But we've caught some, around that 50-inch mark. And then we've caught some around the 42 and 43. And Dan, you can probably attest to this. Sometimes when we catch those low 40-inch fish, we think we're catching the world record. Like sometimes it's like the lower end of the trophy fish sometimes fight a little bit harder, I suppose, like the 90 pounder. Sometimes they're big, but they're still like small enough and maybe young enough that they're like, I can win this.
Yeah.
The amount of times I've turned to the camera and I think this big a fish of the trip, this might be a PB, and it hits the net. It's like a 36-inch lake trout. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. I guess I just got my butt kicked.
The fish are like people, you have some people are stronger than others, some people are naturally athletic, and then the fish are the same way. You get that one that's like that. And we have a tendency to notice as we're fishing now, we're in the past, there's kind of a hierarchy. Your smaller fish will tend to be towards the top, where the bigger fish are laying on the bottom. And that's where I fish a lot of times. I try to fish the numbers, where I keep our baits right at the top of those fish, where like those 70 to 100 pounders are. And sometimes they can be where they feed more too. So you end up hooking more fish and you get, the smaller fish, you can get them to the boat pretty quick. And that way you're up in your numbers game. Like as we like to do as guides, we went 16 for 27, but there's a few guys that do that. Oh, that was a tap. Yep. That was a fish. But we target the smaller fish that are up towards the top, just because, like we were saying, is a lot of people don't have the experience. You don't want to pull on a fish for 25, 30 minutes, harm the fish, have the sharks eat the fish. So you want to get that fish to the boat as quickly as possible.
So I wanted to bring up,
and I'll, to add to what Jesse just said there, he is really dialed in on being able to catch those fish in that upper water column. After a lot of times we'll be talking back and forth while we're there in the pass, and a lot of times those fish, are going to be on type, as he mentioned, are going to be a little smaller. But sometimes you'll have a client that will catch really, get some numbers of fish to the boat. They're all high-fiving. And now we can turn the page like, let's try to catch a bigger one. And then a lot of times those bigger fish, particularly the females, will hang out on these ledges. And if you fish Boca Grande Pass enough, you know where these ledges are. And back in my tournament days, we concentrated on those ledges because we wanted the heaviest fish we could possibly get. And that just goes with, what kind of anglers you have on the boat. First-time tarpon anglers, you may not want to, hang out on that ledge very often because they may catch their first fish be, 180 to 200 pounds, and it's everything they want. But it's a good way to start out with catching those, call it 70 to 100-pound fish. That is a good icebreaker, if you will. And then you can go mess around on that ledge a little bit and catch up a giant.
I don't want to keep talking about the lake trout, but what you just described is everything that we've done up there. Is we always bring the guys to the nursery first and let them get acclimated to the gear, and then go after the bigger fish. And it becomes a quality or quantity, becomes a numbers game or a big fish game. So that makes a lot of sense. And I'll be honest, catching an 80-pound tarpon, I think a lot of guys are gonna be pretty happy with that.
I was gonna say that. I think most people, especially coming from here, you're gonna be plenty satisfied with that fish and have a ton of fun with it.
Absolutely.
I mean, we saw how much fun we had in the canals.
For sure. And, Brett, you asked about the length of the fish, to point that out, a lot of the fish, 60 to 65, maybe 70-inch range is kind of the typical. My biggest, I caught during a tournament, it was 78 by 44.
Wow.
And it was 200 pounder.
That's a huge.
And
dang.
That was a ledge fish, but we knew it because it was third week of May. It's a typical window where a lot of these big females will show up, and in that game we're fishing for money, and we're trying to get the biggest one we possibly can. Now, that program has certainly changed over the years, not necessarily where you can catch them, but the tournament scene is gone. So now we know just based on history of where those fish will lay in, and Jesse will put up some numbers. There's no question about it. I'll watch him and his crew. Kelly's always in the tower, and I see every time I'm drifting through, I see, Kelly's in the tower. They got another one. They're absolutely dialed in, and I sit there and I'm looking at what we got going on, and then I'll talk to Tom a little bit later that day, and he is jacking their face in the canal. So that just goes to show you that this area is full of tarpon. When it's right, it's really right.
It's so cool. And 78 by 44. I mean, for us, like a 78-inch sturgeon was I think 120 pounds or so. I think Darren Troseth caught it. It's our state record. So think about a sturgeon, like a northern pike with sturgeon measurements up here. I mean, that's insane.
Yeah.
It still can jump higher and swim faster.
Yeah. Oh man, that's cool. And but that's not the biggest, most deadly fish, and I'm not going to call it tarpon deadly necessarily, but that's not the most predatory fish down there. Both with you, Jay, and Jesse, we dealt with sharks, and sharks are a problem down there right now, aren't they?
Big time.
Huge.
Big time. And I think they're just getting smarter and smarter. Jesse and I have spent a lot of time on the water, a lot of years. And we see a lot of times new tarpon anglers, not necessarily even with fishing guides, but newer tarpon anglers come down and they're going into this battle with gear they probably should be backcountry fishing with. And that, unfortunately, just lends to an easier target for the sharks. Now, there are times where the sharks get to the point where it is essentially unfishable to land a tarpon. In many cases, a lot of fishing guides will leave that area to go find fish, down the beaches or up in the harbor. Because the bottom line is we're not there to feed the sharks. We're there to have a good time, make sure everybody's safe, and certainly catches their fair share of tarpon. But the reality is, yes, the sharks are an increasing bigger problem year after year, and there's a lot of different reasons for it. But I think the overall big picture is there's not a lot of predators for the shark.
And they're protected down there, or what's going on?
Yeah, they are, and there's lots of different regulations that come in Florida, no doubt about it. But the reality is, we have I think, in my opinion, I think Jesse would agree. In the spring, we have a lot of shrimpers that come around, and in those shrimpers that sit about 3 miles offshore, particularly outside of Boca Grande, is they will call every morning at about 7:30 in the morning, meaning in either bycatch. They'll call, and they're actually just literally sweeping it off the side of the boat. Well, they do that for months on end, going into prime tarpon season, and those sharks are just accustomed to eating the bycatch that is coming off those shrimp boats. Well, when the giant migratory group of tarpon go driving right by them, then all of a sudden the filet mignon just swam right by them, and they're going to follow those tarpon into Boca Grande Pass. It happens almost clockwork, and it has progressively gotten worse. So to the point where in some cases you have no choice but to move and vacate the area. Otherwise you'll continue to feed the sharks, of which we will not do.
Oh, a shark down there is the equivalent to a wolf for us deer hunters here in Minnesota. It sounds like a problem. We can't do anything with it. It sounds exactly like it. What sucks?
What needs to happen?
Oof. That's open a giant box, but I mean, there's talks about shark tournaments and kill tournaments for sharks, and there's definitely a cause for that. I know Bonefish Tarpon Trust is working on a program to get some data on the amount of sharks that are in the area, and maybe even talk about having a larger open season for them. There probably needs to be more talk about, having shark as table fare. I've actually had it. I've actually had bull sharks. Maybe not my favorite, but certainly edible.
Yeah, for sure.
The blackfish are good.
I think blackfish, that's the thing. Oh, somebody's dog's really excited.
Yeah, it's tiny.
She's barking at my reflection, I'm pretty sure.
That's nice.
Yeah. I thought they'd
I think that there definitely is, some talk about, having some options, and try to get the right data. I don't think that anybody wants to go out there and just randomly start killing sharks. I don't know that's the answer. The conservation side of me says that's probably not the answer, but there has to be a solution. And unfortunately, I'm maybe not the smartest guy on the planet to figure that out, but I'm all ears to see what that program looks like.
Sure. Well, and I just like wolves for us, we don't want to see wolves eradicated, but a sound management plan I think needs to be in place, particularly if, for us, white-tailed deer kind of drive the bus when it comes to outdoor recreation in the state of Minnesota. When it comes to hunting, the majority, we have 500, I think I just looked at it today, in 24, we had 541,000 hunting licenses sold, and 83% of those were deer hunters. We have a predator that's taking down, a number of those animals that people are buying licenses to go hunt and harvest and feed their families with, that's going to be a problem. So when you have something that drives tourism as much as Tarpon does down in Charlotte Harbor down there, I think you have to at least have a way to be able to manage the population. I'm not saying wipe out the sharks, but you have to be able to manage that population, because it's like with that one clip where Pat's hooked up with that tarpon, I think with you, Jay, and you're like, open the bail, open the bail, open the bail, open the bail, and Pat's like, open the bail?
Do what? No.
Like, open the bail.
Never
open
heard
the
of
bail.
that.
Let that shark, or let that tarpon get away from the shark. And the same thing happened with you, Jesse. That's the kind of the technique when you do have a tarpon hooked up and a shark appears, you kind of open the bail and let that tarpon run for its life, basically.
Yeah, they're much faster, and they can outrun those things.
That's exactly right.
Go ahead, Jay.
They'll outrun them. And I think what Jesse just said is, that tarpon will certainly outrun the shark, because the sharks are lazy. They know there's 1,000, 500 yards away. So they will wait. And, the big thing about, particularly in peak of tarpon season, is those big bull sharks, a lot of them are going to be females. So they are amped up to eat, because they have to, they're getting ready to go spawn. So that's the big thing about the tarpon fishing is, you got to be on your game. And, when I'm telling Pat, open the bail multiple times, it took minutes for it to sink in of what we're trying to do. Yeah. And I totally get it, because never in his life has he had somebody tell him to open the bail while the line's ripping out. So that's just part of tarpon fishing, and just spend enough time on the water identifying the situation that's fixing to get ugly, to try to eliminate that situation, so we can get a fish boat side, get him away from the area that's been affected by the sharks, get us some nice photos for a good release. And I think everybody has had to deal with it, whether Tom in the backcountry in the middle of Charlotte Harbor, certainly Jesse and I from the passes and the beaches. That situation can come up, and we just need to be prepared for it.
Yeah, well, I remember that shark took a few scales off, and he said they'll grow the scales back, but that tarpon gets to live another day. Now, Tom, where we fished for tarpon a little bit, there were alligators. Maybe there were sharks back there too in the river. I don't know. I know that I feel like, a lot of times up here we're fishing for the apex in the water, or if you're fishing for walleyes, sometimes you'll get a pike or a muskie to come up and T-bone it. And that's kind of fun, because you're like, wall pike. They've got a name for it even up here. It's kind of fun. It's like,
I'm actually catching a fish that pulls drag again. Now that the northern bit.
Yeah, exactly. But do you ever, like Tom, when you're fishing, have you ever had any incidents with alligators down there like that?
Bull sharks, going back to bull sharks, yes, I had a snook get bitten in half last week up the river. Probably a 2-3 foot bull shark bit in half. That happens from time to time, maybe 4 or 5 times a year. And as Jay and Jesse know, that river, there is a lot of bull sharks up there, as they can live in fresh water. So, they're up there. And as far as alligators go, there is one alligator on a really good fly fishing spot, I know, in the springtime or on a heavy outgoing tide when the tarpon are rolling. It will beeline the boat, but I think that's largely down to the fact that someone's probably fed it. I'm sure these boys would agree with me. An alligator is typically 9 times out of 10, if not 99 times out of 10, a wild alligator does not really want to mess with a human being. Yeah. They see you. We're not on their spectrum of their diet, so they usually shy away. But once they've been fed, they're a totally different entity, and it's actually it's pretty terrifying, the contrast in an alligator that's been fed against an alligator that's wild. So yeah, there is one in a spot that when a tarpon or a snook is splashing around and you're trying to unhook it and it's beelining the boat, it gets a little shaky to say the least.
Yeah,
a little dicey.
I mean, sharks scare me for sure. Alligators scare me. I remember the first time I've only fished Florida twice now, but the first time we did it, we were snook fishing, and we were with a guide, and when he'd catch a snook, he'd kind of just like drop it into the water. It was a gentle release, but he'd drop it. you know, me being walleye guys, like I'm down there shoulder deep, you know,
Shaking
moving
it.
it back and
Trying to
forth.
get the cool slow-mo shot.
Yeah, making it look nice. And he's just like, whew. You're like, well, what are you? Well, yeah, there's sharks down there. I'm like, oh.
We had barracuda trying to eat.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We had a barracuda
fingers
too.
out of the
And
water.
I like having all 10 of my fingers, but alligators for sure. So you knew, like, it's the same alligator. Like, you knew it's the same one every time you see it there?
It's a 7 to 8 footer, and other than that, though, I've never had a problem with them. I really haven't. They're super skittish. Now, one thing that's interesting to me, and I would love to hear this from Jesse and Jay, because they fish the harbor in the late summer when those tarpon get done spawning in the pass, and you know when they move into the harbor, right? And we're drifting ladyfish, or we're using cut bait when they're in the holes, or whatever's working. Have you guys ever had a tarpon eaten by a shark in that situation? Because I've never had that situation happen. It just seems to happen in those big congregation points like 7 Mile Bridge or up on the Skyway in Tampa, or Boca Grande. It's terrible for it. But have you guys ever had that? I'm always interested to know.
No,
I don't think I've ever
I can
had
tell
one
you, Tom.
other than in the past.
Yeah.
Right.
I figured.
And one time, the only time I've ever had an issue in the harbor was in April. And it was many years ago, and it was a bull shark. But it wasn't, it was a, for lack of a better word, drive-by. Like, he wanted to know that we were there, and he wanted the tarpon to know we were there, but it never became an issue. Like, I saw him on site imaging, so I think he was just interested in the activity, but it never became a problem. But that was in April, and there was a lot of tarpon up in the hole. So I think that, call it an isolated incident. I mean, all the years, combined, that's the only time I've seen it. In direct contrast to what you were talking about in the passes and the bridges, and, that could be a problem for sure.
Yeah. Seems like there's schools of tarpon that migrate in the Gulf side, just looking over their shoulders. It must be a miserable life pretty much, knowing you've got bull sharks in the backside all the time. But no, I never had any problems with alligators, but I do fish the river a lot, and I am constantly just so it's always in the back of my mind, as you're releasing a snook. When you've seen 4 or 5 gators on the way up there or close by bust off the banks and go in there because they freak out, they think they're scared, but, he has a snook and that's splashing, or you're reeling it in, or your client is.
Yeah.
One day, I'm sure someone's dealt with it. They just come up and just smoke it. So I have both arms right now, and long may that
So I want to go back to this one alligator for sure that you know about, Tom, and knowing that you're where you're from, and the accent that you have, and the vocabulary that you're using and that you used with us on the boat, do you have a name for that alligator? And
well, I really should call him the bastard, I guess. The bloody wanker, as Jay would know. The bloody wanker. No, I just call him the little effer. We usually have adults on the boat, but it's I try to keep it clean on the boat if I can, but sometimes the Brit does slip up.
The FCC appreciates that too.
Yeah, well, we're way past the radio
I
show
know,
at this
but
point anyway. This is all podcast.
I'm aware. My favorite, I think we fished with Jay, and we didn't know who the heck we're fishing with. Like, Lois just set this up. Like, you're fishing with Jay one day. These
Thank
guys
you,
one day,
Lois,
these guys.
by the way.
Yeah, it was great. And we're fishing with Jay, and he's like, yeah, Tom, he's straight from England. And he's like, whatever you do, don't call him a wanker. It's right away. Of course, when we're with Pat Calmerton, what's he do? We meets Tom in the dock. We're not even in the boat yet. Let's just not be a bunch of wankers today or something. Like, great start. Here we go.
You guys walked along there. I guess these are my guys. And Lois is there waving, and he just goes, wanker! Yeah. And it goes throughout the marina.
Pat's a pretty quiet guy.
He's so quiet, yeah.
Just a great start.
Oh, man.
Well,
that was so much fun. And we talked about your background, Tom, on the full video you can see on the Fish Hunt Forever YouTube channel. But just briefly, give us a little. Just give us the Cliff Notes, if you get that. If you've been in America enough to get that reference of your background and how you ended up in Florida.
Actually, it was my brother. He invested in a property over here over 22 years ago now. So, well, actually, just after Hurricane Charlie hit, when Punta Gorda was kind of affordable. He unfortunately lost it in the 2008 recession. You know, that's a different story. But I came over here, and I was 18 years old, and the realtor who sold him the house actually he took me fishing. They became good friends. He was a local guy. And yeah, it was actually a really funny story. The first time he took me out, we caught whitebait, and I grew up fly fishing for rainbow trout in England my whole life. You know, that's all I really knew. And I came here, and this guy's throwing this 10-foot net. This is just my mind was blown. And then we catch redfish, snook, and mangrove snapper. We caught a jack, and I remember this today. Couple of hours into the trip, he blasts across Charlotte Harbor because a big front came through a big storm, and he's blaring Dave Matthews Band, and it's pouring with rain, and he's doing 50 miles an hour. I've never been on a bay boat. The rain's hit me like needles. You know, I'm from England. This is just normal to me. So we stop at this next spot. It dries up, and you know, he told me, he's like, Tom, you know, you catch a snook, you thumb it in the mouth like we do on the bass TV shows, okay? So I'm like, okay. And I caught a mangrove snapper. He wasn't looking. So what did I do? I gave it the old thumb in the mouth. And I'm on the back of the boat screaming like a little girl. My thumb is shredded, and he's just dying laughing. But, you know, stuff like that. From then, I just got the bug, and I moved here 9 years ago now. And the day I got here, you know, I pretty much did my captain's license application. I knew I wanted to be a fishing guide. I love Charlotte Harbor. I've seen a big change here, but it's my home, and hopefully it'll be my home for the rest of my life. I really do hope that.
What was more painful, having the thumb in the mangrove snapper's mouth, or listening to Dave Matthews Band going across the...
Yeah, I don't mind Dave Matthews Band. It's definitely hooking the eyeball is worse than hooking the mangrove snapper, that's for sure. But that's a different story.
Jesse, I want to talk about your background too, because you've been on a boat, maybe not the same boat that you're on today, but you've been on a boat for a long time.
Yep. Actually, don't know how many generations, at least fifth or sixth generation Floridian. So my family were homesteaders here in Florida. So I obviously grew up bass fishing, and then we found saltwater fishing, never went back to bass fishing. So I grew up here. My folks are from here. I joined the Army back in 1989 when I was still a senior in high school. Found out that the Army had boats, landing craft, amphibians, things like that. So I'm like, that's me. Sign me up. You know, I love boats. So I did 22 years in the military as a watercraft operator, and I drove all kinds of boats. I've gone to all kind of different places. So my background is more professional mariner than, you know, with a lasso, charter captain America, or whatever it is you want to call it. They're down here. And, so I did a lot of that stuff. So I've been quite abroad. And Jay will contest to this, that I get just wrapped around the axle as far as when people don't go by the rules and like pay attention to stuff like that. It's on, you know, I'm pretty safety conscious as far as that. When it comes to being on the water and, you know, having people on a boat, that, you know, a lot of people don't realize that when you're out there on the water and you have customers on your boat, then you're responsible for those people, and you can get in some serious trouble, as one of our illustrious Charlotte Harbor guides found out not too long ago. So
what?
I mean,
there were headlines about a guide down there? You're kidding me.
Never heard of it.
What?
Yeah, exactly. So, but you know, like I said, I've been here a long time, and now I've been a fishing guide. I retired back in 2011, so going on 14, 15 years now. So,
well, thank you for your service, first of all, of course.
More than welcome.
And you know, all you guys, thanks for taking us out. And Jay, when did you get started on the water out there in the guiding capacity?
So I started guiding in October of 2003. So I think I'm creeping up on couple decades here. So, but my program was, maybe a little different than others. Part of that's I grew up in Ohio, and my former career, I was a diamond dealer and jewelry designer. Suit and tie 7 days a week.
What? Did we know this?
I don't think we do this.
I don't know. Did we talk about?
I don't know.
Because
no wonder he hated the blue Crocs.
They weren't shiny enough. That's okay. I'm not going to say this is comparable necessarily, but there's a guy that is a tournament angler here in Minnesota now, walleye guy, and he's a big live scope guy, and he's
the best walleye fisherman in the tournament world right now.
He's really good. He does nails. Like owns nail salons, and when he told us that, like our heads exploded. And I'm not comparing the two, but I did not expect you to
just different worlds.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, it really is, and that was the thing is, I was, traveling to shows and going across the country, for different trade shows, and we used to go to Antwerp, Belgium for diamond buying shows.
Sure.
Anyway, so. That was in my former life, and, I convinced my wife to move to Florida so I could be a fishing guide. That was I moved to Florida in January of 2002. And
so wait a minute. Let me again just back you up here for just 1 second, because you tell your wife, so you're working with diamonds, and then you tell your wife, yes, nah, I want to be a fishing guide. How did that go over?
Well, actually, I'm still married to her, so apparently it's okay.
Guess you got a good one.
So it worked out. Good.
The reality of it is she knew that the diamond business, although it was very good to us when we were in our 20s, it was a situation where I just didn't want to be there anymore. And, just like you guys know, you can't – if you're trying to make a living, you better like what you're doing.
For sure.
And although the business was good to me, there was a lot of parts of that business that I just wasn't very fond of. One of them not being with, family during the holidays, because in the diamond business, you're always working, wearing suit and tie 7 days a week. And by the way, it was cold and snowing, and you couldn't fish all the time. So I came down to Florida in September of 2001. And didn't really fish that time, but I went and looked at properties and hung out at tackle shops. And I found Charlotte Harbor on the Atlas back when we used the Atlas. And I was like, you know what? This is a place that I think I can make a living. And I went back home, took my wife to a Monday football game, had some beer and nachos. And, hey, by the way, what do you think about moving to Florida? And she immediately thought I was going to open a store down here, a diamond store. And I was like, no, I'm thinking about being a fishing guide. And she literally said, if you think it'll work, let's do it.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that was the end of September, and I moved January 1st. So sold everything we owned and moved to Beverly. I brought my bass boat down with 2 cats in the front seat of a U-Haul. And I did everything wrong from the very beginning, because I never fished Charlotte Harbor a day in my life prior to moving here. And I was not a very popular guy for a lot of the locals, because I was, for lack of a better word, some Yankee from Ohio. And it was not well received. But like anything, you earn respect in this game, and just like in any career, you earn respect, you gain trust, and still today, I guess my wife Amy still thinks it works. So I guess we'll keep going.
So did you grow up doing a lot of fishing in Ohio?
Yeah, Lake Erie.
Yeah, I fished a lot. Now I was a Southern boy in Ohio from the Cincinnati, Dayton area. So we fish a lot of, private farm ponds, local lakes. I grew up fishing a lake called Grand Lake St. Mary's, which is a man-made lake towards the central west of Ohio. And my grandparents took me there every year after school for 2 weeks. That was kind of our summer break.
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
I got the bug fishing when I was 3 years old. And we were catching crappies and having a great old time. And then I ended up meeting my wife after I graduated high school, met her that summer. She lived 3 miles away from that lake, which was really convenient, by the way. And then all of a sudden, we got married in 1995, and over 30 years later, we're still here and loving life.
That's cool. Well, Dan, we now have 2 friends in the diving
I was going to
business.
make that same joke to you. Yeah, people who know Shane Company. I was thinking, I was trying to find the moment to say that we can flex on every other Minnesotan that we have 2 friends.
I've been sitting on it for like 5 minutes trying to get that one out.
I couldn't remember the name. It was in my brain.
Anybody that listens to the radio in Minnesota has heard the commercials for
And
Shane
you know
Co.
exactly where they are.
Now
It's the corner of 494.
394 and Hopkins Crossroad and at
494 and Radio Drive in
Radio Drive.
Woodbury. Yeah. It's
open weekdays till 8, Saturdays and Sundays till 5, online at shenko.com. It's got to be the most successful radio ad campaign of all time, at least in the
Pump it
Twin
a lot.
Cities.
forever. Yeah.
That's great.
That's awesome. All right, guys. What was going to be like a 30-minute interview turned into like an hour and a half here, so we'll let you get back. I know, Tom, you literally just got off the water and jumped on with us, so I appreciate the time. Tom, let's start with you. Why don't you run through websites, how people reach you if they want to fish with Knapp Outdoor Expeditions?
It's easy, simple, guys. Yeah, Knapp Outdoor Expeditions. That's KNAPP Outdoor Expeditions. And my website's fishingpuntagorda.com. All one word. So super easy to find on there.
We didn't even mention the Tom Knapp connection in Minnesota.
People are
either.
going to listen to this and they're like, we
The
got Tom
trick
Knapp
shooter.
on this show, and Minnesotans' heads are going to explode.
Is this the clay guy?
Yeah, the clay target shooter. Yeah. They're going to think we resurrected him from the dead.
Yep.
Has he been on this show before? Did you ever have him? I know I took your picture with him at Pheasant Fest.
Yeah, I think I did have Tom Knapp, the other Tom Knapp, on this podcast years ago. But yeah, it was a long time ago. He's passed away. Yeah, so
Yeah.
very cool. Well,
I certainly won't be taking up his legacy of my shotgun skills. That's for sure.
well, Tom, we had a great time in the boat with you. Thanks again for taking it.
You boys. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much, chaps.
Thank you very much. And Jesse, where do people find you?
Obviously, we have all the social medias. Our website is Florida Inshore Extreme. That's spelled with an X. It's kind of my little play on X mainstream. Everybody says you spelled it wrong, but nope, that's how I wanted it. So FloridaInshoreExtreme.com.
Very good. And Jay, you got a TV. We didn't even mention the TV show yet. Where can we see the TV show?
Yeah, so Guidelines TV, it's on YouTube. Everybody on the planet can see it. And, all my social stuff, kind of follows around that. The charter business website for Silverline Charters is CaptainJ.com. It's CaptainJay.com. And, I think with any of us, we're not very hard to find. You can Google us and we'll pop up there somewhere. But, we'd love to have some more Minnesota folks down here, and anybody that listens to this radio, we'd love to have you. We enjoy what we do. And, the reason why these 2 guys are here is some of the best there is. So that's why we got together with your crew to come down.
Yeah.
We appreciate it. And Jesse, and of course, say hi to your wife for us. Kelly, we had a great time in your boat. And Jay, we had a great time in your boat. Hopefully we didn't make it too dirty. And
don't wear Crocs. That's the one thing.
wear Crocs.
It's fine.
It's funny. There's a sect of hardcore anglers in Minnesota who make that annual pilgrimage to Florida every year to fish inshore, offshore, whatever the case may be, to fish salt. We didn't get into it for a long time. And even like sometimes we'll talk to people up here and be like, hey, you guys have to go do this. Like even when we try to promote like our video on YouTube, it's like, you guys, like they want to see us catch a walleye.
A perch through the ice.
Yeah, they want to see the 1,000th video on YouTube on how to catch a perch in 8 feet of water through the ice or whatever. And it's like, you don't understand. Once you go do this down there in Florida, you're going to want to do it again and again and again.
There's so many Minnesotans that have places in Punta Gorda too.
Yeah.
Like there's a weird pipeline between Minnesota and Punta Gorda. And there's a reason, because the fishing is the way it is.
Well, we talked to one guy and he's like, well, I got a place at the pass. I got a place at Punta Gorda. Like he has like 3 homes down there or whatever. Like, he's pretty serious about it.
Yeah.
Must be nice.
Yeah.
And too, I would say to a lot of the folks that watch this or listen to this, the travel to here is getting so much easier with our airport right here in Punta Gorda, with Allegiant Airlines that flies in there. I mean, it makes it super convenient with Airbnbs. You guys stayed in Airbnb while you were here, and there's so many options. And, you know, to get out on the water a couple of days with these guys, you know, this is a great opportunity to find, you know, so you're not so jam-packed area like, you know, we call it the big cities, you know, the call it Tampa to Fort Myers. You know, we're in that sweet spot in the middle. You know, Charlotte Harbor is an aquatic preserve, so no buildings, no houses. You know, awesome. It's a lot of that aquatic preserve is still protected by the state. So we welcome a lot of folks from out of town. We like to have fun with them, so we razz them a little bit about their blue Crocs and stuff. But it's all fun.
Expect it any other way.
Yeah. Well, and Allegiant just acquired Sun Country, and Sun Country had a lot of flights out of Minneapolis, so I wouldn't be surprised if there becomes a MSP to Punta Gorda flight. But even when there's not, it was pretty easy to fly to Fort Myers and get there.
Yeah, well, and I think Allegiant flies out of, I think they fly out of Fargo and Sioux Falls maybe and do some direct flights down there to Florida. And yeah, we flew into Fort Myers, and Pat rented a Suburban or whatever it was with lots of air conditioning, and we just rolled up. He just like sat on the horn when he picked us up at the airport. You'll see it in the video.
Shocker.
Yeah,
very subtle, quiet Pat.
It was 100% Pat, and super travel. And then it was Tarpon Real Estate, I believe, is who Lois rented that house from. Lois, real pure Florida, Punta Gorda, Englewood Beach. Can't thank them enough for getting us down there and showing us around. We ate so much seafood.
So good.
Like fishing was number one, of course, but the second priority on our list was to try to go to authentic seafood places and tiki bars. We ate it. The only thing we didn't do for the tiki bars, Dan, is a tiki bar boat or whatever.
Yeah, well, we decided next time we come down, we're renting one of those and we're going to bring it to the pass.
Yeah.
I bet you will.
Hey, we've seen it, right?
In blue Crocs.
Yeah, blue Crocs and all.
Quickest way to meet one of those sharks we were talking about.
That's right.
It was so much fun. I can't wait to get back down there. And the other thing I'll say about that Punta Gorda, Englewood Beach area, when people ask us about that trip, you know, like we don't want to go to Miami, and we've been to Orlando and Tampa and all that stuff, and those places are fine. But the nice thing about where we were is that there's some touristy stuff that you can do if you want to do that. Like you bring the family down and you want to go to, you know, whatever.
Spring training games.
There's some of that stuff. Yeah, there's some of that stuff you can do. But that area was built on old fishing villages. So it's a historical fishing area, which is right up our alley. Like it was perfect. Like it was just such a, you know, like the history of the place, and obviously the hurricanes have changed the landscape around a little bit, unfortunately. But there was a lot of history there. There were some really neat places, lots of seafood, lots of culture, and of course the fishing was unreal. So, I mean, I wish we could have been with better guides, I guess. But I mean,
wow. We want to go back someday, Brett. We'd like to go back someday. So
no, it was amazing. You guys,
long march for an hour.
Jeez.
Yeah, no, you guys were great, and we can't thank you enough for taking us out. And I know we ran long here today, so I really appreciate the time. Jay Withers, Jesse McDowell, Tom Knapp, I appreciate the time here on the show. Thank you very much, and good luck. One last thing before we go is, I know this is you guys are fishing, but it's probably a little bit of a slow time of the season for you. When should people plan to make a trip if they want to come down for tarpon or whatever? You know, when should they really start to, you know, like when do things really ramp up? Yeah.
Well, I can answer for everybody. Right now, you need to get on the schedule. Because what happens is everybody in the planet thinks, well, I've got a couple months while it's still spring, but I want to be there in May. Well, by that time, it's already full. So, you know, if you're thinking about a trip to Southwest Florida, right here in our home waters, now is the time. Get on the books. These guys fill up quick. So that's the key, is everybody, and understand that we've been doing it long enough, all of us, that we have previous clients. You know, if we weren't, you know, trying to do our best, those people that we fished in the past wouldn't come back. But the reality is those people come back year after year after year, and they get that first slot because a lot of times they'll get off the boat and book the next year because they know how the program works. So I would encourage anybody that has a wish to come down, definitely get these guys early. Get on the books with them.
Yeah, these two gents right here, they're in a real niche, and it's so technical fishing those tarpon when they move in, but it could happen at the end of March, right? They could start sliding in, and it's game on. And you want to get your dates booked with these guys because there are particular tides, hill tides, whatever. These guys know exactly what they're doing. It's a next level style of fishing, but if you want to get in there with these top guys, you got to get booked up with them ASAP. It's not a, hey, you available next week. It's not happening.
Well, again, if you want to see what the experience is all about, check out our video on the Fish on Forever YouTube channel. I think it's Insane Tarpon and
Grouper fishing
right now. I think it's what we changed the title up on it just because we do that sometimes on YouTube, just to see how things go.
Little A/B testing.
Yeah,
the YouTube
it's
behind the scenes of the YouTube world.
The algorithm tricks you got to play with just a little bit. But so go check that out. And we will put links to all their guide services in the description below. So if you're watching this on YouTube and you want to find their websites, again, we'll put the links in.
Or if you're listening on Spotify, all those, it'll be in there too.
There you go.
Go to your
all right. Jay, Jesse,
platform.
Tom, again, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
See you, boys. Good talk.
Appreciate you guys.
Lake of the Woods is the walleye capital of the world. Plan your ice fishing trip today. We have over 60 lodging options with 30 full-service resorts featuring heated fish houses, ice transportation, meal plans, and sleeper house options. Fish from the famous Rainy River in the South Shore.
You never know what you're going to catch.
To the scenic Northwest Angle.
Here at the Northwest Angle.
Catch walleye, sauger, perch, sturgeon, eelpout, tulipy, northern pike, and more. Fish Minnesota's Lake of the Woods. Learn how at lakeofthewoodsmn.com. All right, time to head up to Lake of the Woods, check in with Joe Henry, get a Lake of the Woods fishing report. Joe, I want to talk, of course, about how conditions are up there right now. But first of all, how'd your weekend go?
Oh, it was good. It was really good. You know what? Big thank you to everybody that stopped by and saw me at the Minnesota Sportsman Show and Shakopee at Canterbury Park. And it was a really cold weekend, and we had some snow, a little bit over the weekend too. But you know what? There's a lot of hardy souls that said, "Hey, man, if the weather's bad, what better way to spend it? I'm not going to be out fishing necessarily on my own anyway." So they came to the sports show, and my seminars were quite crowded, and just spoke to a lot of really good people. You get to know people over the years, and just really enjoyable.
We talk about that a lot. I've been to so many sports shows, and it seems like some of these, late winter, early spring ones, sometimes weather can be unpredictable. And I remember, was it Saturday, Dan? And it was blowing pretty good and snowing. And I was like, oof, be a tough one for a sports show. And Dan goes, I don't know, this might be exactly what the sports show needs, because nobody's going to go sit on a lake, and especially in a portable in this weather right now or something like that. So it's sometimes weather that's not too bad can mean good attendance at shows like that.
It's 100% true. And, you never know, right? I mean, with a sports show, between football games going on, between weather events, between, who knows what, you kind of wait till the end of a 3 or 4 day show on Sunday night and say, how did it go? Because everything kind of ebbs and flows. And, but that was a very good show. And of course, right now, as we speak, I'm actually in Schaumburg, Illinois. The Chicagoland Fishing Show is going on, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And it's at the Schaumburg Convention Center. Another great show. I'll be having a booth for Lake of the Woods tourism, certainly talking Lake of the Woods fishing, both ice fishing and open water fishing, talking about resorts, vacation packages. Just people are asking questions, things like, okay, I got a group of, 4 of us. It's my family, and I want to get kind of a nicer place, and we're going to need a guide. And, there's between the south end, the northwest angle, guides, charters, bring in your own boat. Ice fishing still. We still got the day houses, the wheel houses, the sleeper fish houses. Just a lot of questions always, and it's fun to be able to get people dialed in, show them the visitor guide, show them all the resorts within our visitor guide or on our website, and probably based on what they're looking for, what the best options could be, and it's good. We're also giving away a big trip. We let a different resort give away a trip each year at the sports shows, and this year it's Hedham's Oak Island Lodge is giving away a real nice, like a $3,000 trip giveaway. So, people are signing up for that. And we get them on our newsletter for Lake of the Woods tourism, which, most people like. And so it's good. It's all good, man. I got my booth set up already, and it's going to be a good show. I know it is.
Man, those shows, I know their work. And when I was doing a lot of them, it's like, oh man, I got to do another show this weekend. Like, come on, setting up a booth, doing all that. But I'll tell you what, in the last few years, particularly, I was only doing a handful. And we did one down in St. Charles, Illinois, down there, the All Canada show every year. And it's kind of fun. And especially when you can get away a little bit and you see those friends that you have booths next to for years. And there was a St. Charles steakhouse. We always go out and get a really fancy steak while we're down there. It's work, but the shows are kind of fun, especially when you get to meet a lot of people out there.
It's very true. And, I'll tell you, I'll tell you very, very honest with you. When I first I've been tourism director for Lake of the Woods for 14 years. And when I first became tourism director, I was super pumped because I'm like, man, I go to these shows anyway. Now I get actually to be there and work them. How cool. Well, that was for the first 2 years. And then after that, it started feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm doing like 5 or 6 sports shows. Oh my goodness, But now, that I've done them for a while, it's almost like you play cheap psychological tricks. It's honestly, there's a few people that I used to look forward to seeing at sports shows, and they're no longer with us. They're in heaven now. And, when you start looking at things that way, I've already committed at the time. I'm already going to be here. And I do, authentically enjoy, talking to people, educating them about our area and that sort of thing. Plus, I get to do seminars, and it's an honor to be able to do seminars. And we're doing some fun ones. We got some neat topics. People are getting a lot out of them. It's almost like you kind of know when a seminar is going well because you do that first seminar and you're done. And then you got about 6 or 8 people around you for another 15, 20 minutes afterwards, asking questions, getting dialed in. It's cool, right?
I just had to look something up here real quick, Dan. I'm going to share my screen.
Oh boy.
I love doing it. And when I took over the magazine, Minnesota Sporting Journal, we had so much fun with it. And Matt Soberg and his dad built that booth. But I'll tell you what, moving that booth around and setting it up and carrying everything, that thing was labor intensive.
That sucked.
Look at that wood.
Yeah. And I know that there's booths that are much, much larger than what we had there, but we wanted to have that log cabin feel to it. And look how young Dan is there.
I wore that shirt the other day, actually.
You still got it?
Of course. That's what awesome. Year is that? 2012. So
2013.
14-year-old. That shirt has lasted as long as Joe Henry has his tourism record.
Hey, Danny, that was back before you could even grow a whisker.
I didn't know what a whisker was. I was in middle school. I probably still had it.
Now look at that mustache you have. Now it's kind of a thing of beauty. People talk about it across the Midwest.
Well, Joe Henry talks about it across the Midwest. And, at 12 years old, though, I still probably had a better beard than you.
Oh, well, he's not wrong.
I'll tell you, I got to be careful. If I use too hot of a washcloth, all my whiskers go away. So I will tell you that, like I told you, Danny, at one time I said that time I was at spring break, they like to hook you as a lifelong revenue stream. So I was down at spring break in Daytona Beach, and what they do is they get a gal in a bikini and they put a blindfold on her, and then she has 5 different college guys. And she goes around blindfolded and she feels your cheeks for the smoothest shave. Gillette was giving away a real nice prize package. And she came across and felt my cheeks. She went to everybody else, and she felt my cheeks again. If my gosh, I won the smoothest shave contest. But I didn't tell her. I didn't shave that morning.
Yeah. So, we're planning the SGR 500 right now, Joe. We're going to start promoting it here pretty heavily soon. We're still trying to come up with a new theme for it. So we had the Sturgeon Stash last year. So if you have any ideas, think about that and let us know. And because I don't know if either one of us are going to do David, I think you should do a stash again. Yours was pretty epic last year, actually.
Well, thank you.
Yours was pretty good. But all right.
Well, Brett, I'll tell you one thing now. I'm going to give you a little secret now. When you do these sports shows, after a while you start creating cheap psychological tricks just to kind of get yourself fired up. And one of the cheap psychological tricks I have every once in a while when he shows up is every once in a while Marshall Monk is at a sports show with Lakeroad Lodge. And when he goes to a sports show, well, I kind of get a little grin on my face because I know there could be some shenanigans going on. Put it that
way. Well, I remember meeting you, I think, at the Sportsman Show last year in Shakopee, Marshall, and thanks for joining us on the show this week. How's it going?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you bet.
I didn't get to. Oh,
go ahead.
I didn't get to Shakopee this year. We were just way too busy up here and just didn't dare go. So.
Well, that's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Hey, you can tell somebody that's been working from dark 30 to late in the night, working in cold conditions. I mean, cleaning. It's a freaking haul, Bright. You know that.
Yeah, he's probably thinking, no, I'd have rather gone to Shakopee. Dang it, I've been working.
Well, this is relaxing. I get to do a podcast tonight rather than go to the Gut Shack. So
there you go. You're welcome. We're happy to help. All right. Well, and I don't know, Marshall or Joe, whichever one of you guys want to take this question. Maybe Marshall. How's fishing right now up there?
Marshall, take it.
I'm fishing right now, and Joe knows that I'm always brutally honest about everything. I would call it a bit of a roller coaster ride right now, up and down. Everybody's catching fish, and like I always say on my videos, we always dig through them smaller ones on Lake of the Woods, but at the end of the day, you're always going to end up with a pretty good pail of fish. And that's kind of the way it was last weekend. But when you're running as many houses as we run, not everyone's going to hit every day, right? So I would say for the most part, it was a pretty good weekend we've had the past week.
All right. And how many houses are you running out there?
I have 25 day houses, 13 sleepers.
Okay. And then you actually have a motel as well, right?
Yeah, we have a 16-room motel with 64 beds. We do not have a bar and a grill, but we have a cooking facility for everybody to use. It's got oven range, deep fryers. All your cooking utensils are provided. There's picnic tables in there, a 60-inch TV if you want to watch the game or whatnot. The motel rooms also have a TV, microwave, refrigerator in them too.
All right, and your local.
Brett, I should just say too, so Marshall's got, so when you guys drive, if you've ever been up to Lake of the Woods, when you drive up to Wheeler's Point, it's that hotel that's right on 172, right before you turn into Sportsman's, but it's right in the heart of everything. So I'll kind of, elaborate on those cooking facilities. He's got a whole bunch of deep fryers. So a lot of people do is they'll stay there. He's got actually for a hotel, he's got a very, very nice fish cleaning shack that you can go in and use, if you're staying there. And then, the deep fryers are very nice. So he's got real nice picnic tables in there. And it's a big area that you can cook in there. It's not small at all. You can get, a number of groups in there. And I think that's kind of cool. I think the other thing is, he's right in the middle of a whole bunch of resorts that have bar and restaurants. So what a lot of people will do is we stay with Marshall and Sarah, and then what we'll do is we'll go to this resort one night. We'll go to Ballard's one night. We'll go to Sporty's. We'll go to Riverbend, Adrian's, Borderview, Wigwam. All those resorts on that Rainy River, Slim's. They're all in that area, right? I don't think I missed any. And there's so many choices right there, and it makes it kind of a fun experience, really.
Yeah, it's a great location. Honestly, you are right in the middle of everything there, anything that you need. All right. So for our radio listeners, we're going to continue this conversation on our podcast. So go to our Fish Hunt Forever YouTube channel to continue this conversation, or download this podcast wherever you get your favorite podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, etc. Now, Marshall, you said you got guys out there filling some buckets. It's maybe, fishing is tough some days. It's still fishing, but, we joke all the time. You're still catching fish usually up at Lake of the Woods. You just go up there with higher expectations than you do in some other locations. But how are people fishing? Are they catching them on dead sticks? Are they catching them jigging? What are they doing?
So mainly jigging right now. And if you have electronics and know how to use your electronics properly, and it doesn't necessarily have to be forward-facing sonar. XLRs work too. You're going to get fish. There are a lot of suspended. Our nicer walleyes are coming in suspended. So the electronics are the key there, right? You see those marks come in higher and you raise up to them, and a lot of guys, they're just tulipies. Well, they're not always just tulipies, because those are your slot fish and your nicer walleyes a lot of the time. As far as lures that I've found the best for this year, I would say, and everybody's heard my videos, dirty bombs. I like the black dirty bombs with the red lights, the gold dirty bombs with the red lights, and also probably another one of my favorites is golden orange, like a golden orange spoon like that. I like spoons. So
And
Marshall, I'm gonna have you elaborate on those dirty bumps for a second, if you would. How are people using them? Are they using them with a treble straight? Are they using a dropper? If they're using a dropper, are they using a hook and a jig? What are they doing?
So what I like to do with it is I like to take the treble hook off, and then I'll add about a 6-inch dropper off it, and I'll just use mono or braid or whatever. It's Lake of the Woods. You don't have to have fluorocarbon. Everybody knows that. Joe will agree. And then I'll go off that 6-inch drop, and then I'll put my treble hook below that, and I'll use the same treble hook that was on the lure when I bought it, right? And then I'll hook like a chub in the tail, or if I'm mainly a chub in the tail or a shiner in the tail. This year we don't really have live shiners. So when we're using frozen ones this year, we're mainly just using like Northland buckshot or stuff like that.
And you like to hook them in the tail to give them a little bit of a different action down there?
Yeah, it just lets them swim around a little bit. Yeah, you give them a jig, tail or halfway back from the dorsal is where I like to.
And this is acting as almost like a dead stick, isn't it? Not your jigging line, but rather your dead stick.
Yeah, it really is. That's almost a dead stick. And then I'll take, like when I'm jigging like a spoon or whatever, I generally don't even ever fish with a full minnow. I'm fishing with the head or a half a minnow, and even like a frozen shiner, pinch it in half, and they work good.
I like not even using bait when I can, personally. Jigging wrap or rattle bait or something
Ripping
like
wraps.
that. Yeah, it's
plastics.
so nice. Yeah. Or
gotta do what you gotta do, though.
Yeah. Oh,
those ripping wraps. You guys know I love those ripping wraps. And I'll tell you what, Marshall on Lake of the Woods, I mean, I think my favorite is probably that pink UV fire tiger color, a little bit smaller one. And then, that gold is a good one. And I also like the blue chrome. But boy, Ty, those ripping wraps.
The words out of my mouth.
Yeah, they just work. And I'll tell you, all that noise down there, it pulls fish in. If they're aggressive, they whack it. I also think it's kind of cool because when fish are in a really, a lot of times when fish are in a real neutral mode, and with electronics, you kind of know they are because you can see the fish coming through. So you're on fish, but if they're not reacting, they're just kind of swimming by and you're having a hard time catching them, maybe it's a cold front, maybe they ate yesterday, whatever. You know what? 2 things. I would say, number one, downsize your presentation. And the second thing is, sometimes when you get overly aggressive, believe it or not, I mean, it'll be dead, and you're ripping a ripping wrap, and all of a sudden, there's a bright red mark 3 or 4 feet off the bottom, comes ripping in. That fish is so hot to try, you could drop a piece of hot dog in front of it and eat it, I promise you. You raise up that ripping wrap and go jiggle, and it's going to pound it.
It's kind of like when your mom or your dad's in a bad mood and you just keep pestering them, and they finally just snap, and you're in trouble. Not that ever happened to me.
A lot of times what I've seen is they don't always nail that ripping wrap. They'll come in and they'll smoke that dead stick when you're sitting there ripping that wrap. It's kind of like a call almost.
Yeah, for sure. It's nice having those 2 options out there for them, depending on the mood of the fish, of course. And you talk about suspended fish. I don't care if they are whitefish. I'm jigging up to just about everything I see, unless it looks real tiny. I'm jigging. I want to catch every fish in the lake, so I'm jigging up to it. I don't care what it might be. But
you have nothing to lose.
Yeah,
I mean, you might as well. I mean,
yeah,
we've talked about even.
The other too is, let's face it, fish do see up. And, when you talk about even a Lake of the Woods with that stained water, with a lateral line, I'll tell you, I'll never forget the time I was on a snowmobile out on by Knighton Bridges on the ice. And I was doing a little hole hopping back then. Just we're all by ourselves. I drilled like 6 holes on an edge of a reef. And I was doing some hole hopping. And I can remember coming and dropping at the time it was a Vexlar, dropping it down and looking at and I could see 2 fish on the bottom. And I lowered that spoon down, and one of them pounded it. Well, of course, you get that fish up as fast as you can. And I don't care if you have a piece of minnow on there, anything is going to work because those fish are hot and they're competing. I tried getting that spoon down fast as I could. I was in 30 feet of water in Lake of the Woods in stained water. And when that spoon hit the water in my hole, that fish was already racing up. I could sense that vibration. And when that spoon, as fast as I could get it down, it was probably only 10 feet below the ice, maybe less, that fish had flown up from the bottom and already engulfed that spoon. So tell me they don't know there's stuff there. I think it'd be interesting, Marshall, give your synopsis on why those fish come through suspended.
Well, I'm not a biologist, but there's a lot of them bigger fish. It seems like everybody that comes in with nice fish, and you get customers that they're like, oh, we fished all day, we got saugers and we got 3 walleyes and whatever, and then you get your customers that come in and they got all their walleyes and just a few saugers, but bait run everywhere. And I don't know if it's because that bigger bait maybe runs a little higher. I know those tulibies run suspended, and I know like them baby tulibies are good eats for walleyes.
Yeah.
You know, the DNR says on Lake of the Woods, when a walleye becomes 25 inches or 5 pounds, his diet really focuses then on tulibies. Not that it won't eat other things. It certainly will. It's opportunistic. But when it becomes 5 pounds or 25 inches, they really focus on tulibies. And tulibies naturally are suspended a lot. But that's also why, even in our tournaments and things like that, a lot of the bigger walleyes on Lake of the Woods are caught out in that big basin. It's because they're chasing tulibies, and that's where the majority of the tulibies live.
Man, I don't blame them. Tulibies
it seems
are delicious.
like everybody gets, and it seems like everybody kind of gets upset when they catch 10 tulibies a day, but if they're catching them 10 tulibies a day, they probably got a picture of a 27 or a 28 incher in their camera too. They might not have 100 fish on the clicker, but they probably got a few nice ones.
Hey, tulibies put up a heck of a fight, first of all. I remember some of my first trips to Lake of the Woods, and I'd be with a couple of guys. We'd catch a tulibee, and they'd like, get that stinky thing out of here. God dang it, tulibee. And now over the years, I mean, after eating some and smoking some and then fishing for them and catching them, you kind of have this newfound appreciation for them because they fight hard. To me, they're basically a trout, really. I mean, there's just a lot of similarities with them. But they fight hard. They taste pretty good. And there's such a big forage base for those big fish out there that you're right, Marshall. If there's a lot of tulibies around, there's probably some big walleyes around.
Or big pike.
Yeah. Or big pike, yeah, for sure.
Remember the last time we were up there, I couldn't keep tulibee off my line. Jody, you remember that? It's like every other fish I was catching towards the end is like, tulibee. I'm like, nobody else is catching them. Why am I the one catching all the tulibee?
You're the hot hand.
Tulibee whisperer.
And I know people that will
end up with.
I don't remember that trip, Joe. I had a couple, I think.
I wouldn't complain about catching tulibies.
Well, I
just like catching fish.
Like catching fish.
If you're the only one catching, Joe, if they're tulibee, I'd catch them.
Joe and Ray are catching walleyes, and I got one. Tulibee. All right.
Well, I know people that when they start catching tulibees, tulibees are a fun fish to catch. What are they? 1.5 pounds usually or something? But they're a fun fish to catch. And I know people that when they start catching tulibees, they'll actually change one of their lines, and on a jig and spoon, they'll put a dropper with an ice fly, especially, maybe a little piece of minnow, maybe a waxworm if they have it, or a earlarvy or something. But they actually start targeting tulibees that way. And if there's tulibees below you, you can really, really make some hay. And I'll tell you, if you guys ever had smoked tulibee, they're pretty darn good.
Yeah. I know people in the springtime that would, in between classes in college, they'd run out quick and go catch a bunch of tulibee and then come back in all smelly. But they're having a great time in between classes, and why not? It's fun.
That's pretty funny. Hey, Marshall, maybe talk about how far out are your houses right now, and what obviously I don't know if the average person maybe thinks about, like, if you're 12 miles out right now, let's say, it's not easy going that far. It's more cost, it's more breakage, it's more fuel, it's everything, but I think what you're trying to do is do your absolute very, very, very best to keep your houses on good fish, because naturally you want customers to come back and see you again. Fishing can be fishing, but at least they know you worked your tail off for them, right?
Yeah, so it is a lot of work. Right now our road's pushed out between 12 and 13 miles where our houses sit. The biggest thing is why we move like that is it's not so much we 100% know where the fish are. It's a mud bite, and if everybody knows Lake of the Woods, there's always fish roaming in the mud. The biggest thing is clean ice, fresh ice that has been quiet. That's why we just keep moving out all the time, right? Move a mile a week, and then you're always bumping out a little bit. That ice has been quieter. There hasn't been traffic on it. And we're moving our houses. Our day houses are moved every third day. Our sleepers are moved after every group. So we move a lot of houses every week.
So those fish are, a lot of times when those fish are moving out further, and you're, like you say, part of it is you're chasing fish, but really part of it is you just want to go to that quieter ice because you know that's probably going to be holding some fish. as much of this isn't the fish chasing forage and then you following the fish. You're just really looking for that quieter ice that hasn't been fished with the thought that those fish are going to be underneath it because there's so many fish.
Yeah, I feel as if the more traffic on a road, and I've had this conversation with people in the past, and they try to tell me that wind doesn't bother fish in the wintertime, and traffic on top of the ice doesn't bother fish in the wintertime. But I feel as if you can be quiet and you have less wind, you're going to have better fishing. You know that wind still shakes that ice up a little bit, I feel.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
So how late are you going to be fishing this year?
Only Mother Nature knows that answer right now. And the way this cold weather coming in, we could be looking late March. Honestly, it probably. I mean, if it keeps going the way it's going right now, and we don't have a lot of snow on the lake. Seems like we just get little dustings every day that are really nuisance when the wind comes up. But yeah, we don't have a lot of snowpack at all. And the guys came in and they were asking for extensions here a week ago already. So I would say, me personally, I feel as if we're at least a week ahead of schedule right now as far as ice thickness goes. So it all depends on what Mother Nature throws us in March. I feel as it could go pretty late for us.
Well, you know, and for listeners, you know, Lake of the Woods enjoys an extended ice fishing season. So, you know, we actually can have our fish houses out overnight on the ice through March 31st because we're border water with Canada. Our walleye season goes through April 14th, and our pike season never closes. Certainly perch and tulipy are open. And so you can actually basically be fishing through the whole month of March, assuming that, you know, the ice holds in March, which, you know, I think, Marshall, they said this weekend it's going to be like 125 below zero. Is that what you guys?
Without the wind chill, that's what they're saying. It's going to be wicked this weekend. Yeah, we've already, the guys my crew is not looking forward to it, but it's always sunny and 70 in your rental, so.
Which is great, but I mean, and we don't need to go down this road too far, but when things get that cold, stuff starts breaking out there, doesn't it? I mean, just maintaining gear, plow trucks, things like that, it just gets tough when it's that cold.
Yeah, metal gets brittle, you know, and I've never believed the whole wind chill thing. 25 below zero is 25 below zero. If you add wind, I don't know. That's just, I don't get the whole wind chill thing. Cold is cold. I mean, after 15 or so below, it doesn't really matter, right? Yeah, things get brittle, things break. You know, John, my main guy, he's been in the shop since 6 o'clock this morning, putting stuff back together that we broke yesterday, you know?
What kind of stuff, Marshall? I mean, you're talking like everything from winches to plows to jacks to what?
We blew a power steering pump out of a truck yesterday, and he had to weld a couple plows up. And, you know, metal, when it gets cold, it breaks, and stuff gets used hard in the winter.
He's welded back together. Keep on going.
And what do you
have? Marshall, Dave is a farmer, so he totally understands.
He's also a welder, carpenter.
Yeah,
and I'm fortunate enough to have a very good fabricator working for me. So
it sounds like it.
Yeah,
you know, I should ask a question, Marshall. We're talking ice fishing, but let's shift gears a little bit to the open water. Talk about your open water outfit with Lakeroad Lodge.
So we have 3 27-foot charter boats that we run just like everybody else does up here, but we also do a little thing kind of different. We're probably one of the few that actually offer small boat trips on the south end of Lake of the Woods. John runs a 205 Alumnicraft Trophy, and I run a 2060 Skeeter. And I have my Canadian work permit, so I'll run Canadian trips right out of the south end, or what I do a lot of the time is I'll fish my customers in Canada all the way up, and then we stay generally at one of the 3 bigger resorts up there where I can get lodging and then fish our way home the next day, which works really good. Springtime, we do a lot of sturgeon, a lot of spring pike, stuff like that. Smallmouth bass. June, I do a lot of smallmouth trips.
How long has Lakeroad Lodge been around?
Lakeroad Lodge was built in 1992. Steve Ballard built it, actually, the owner of Ballard's Resort. He built it for overflow for his resort. He ran it for a couple years, and then I don't know the names. There was 2 other owners in the middle. I do not know the names. And then Brian and Penny Labor had it. And then Mike and Sheila Mayer, when they bought it from Brian and Penny, hired Sarah and I to manage it. And we managed it for about a year and a half and then bought it from them.
Okay. All right. And Joe, anything else you wanted to ask or what you wanted to talk about?
Well, Marshall, I think it's interesting. Maybe I just give the listeners an idea of, where are you from and how did you make it up to Lake of the Woods?
So I grew up, I'll always say 18 miles north of East Grand Forks, Minnesota, because 95% of everybody doesn't know where El Dorado, Minnesota, where it is or if it even exists.
We used to have a farm there. Our family farmed there, actually.
What's the last name?
Well, it was Amundsen, but this is going back 100 years ago. And but my great-grandparents are still buried up there along the Snake River, actually. So
Vega?
What's that?
Vega Cemetery? Vega or Big Woods?
No, it was...
There's a big bell there.
Yeah, what the heck is the name of that cemetery? It's right along the...
That's Vega.
Okay.
Vega Cemetery, yeah. I know it very well. So that's where I grew up, and my dad was a huge outdoorsman, huge fisherman. My dad worked for the city of El Dorado, and he had his vacation, and we always had the camper at Morris Point Resort, and he burnt all of his vacation to come up here and whatnot. There was a point in time in my life where I used to beg my dad to let me go up to the resort and get a pizza because I was so tired of catching walleyes and eating them so we could fish again the next day. And then when I met my wife, Sarah, she's actually from Warren, Minnesota, we always had a camper at Zipple Bay. And that's actually where I got my start guiding there for Nick Painovich over at Zipple Bay. And that's kind of everything's history after that.
So how many years have you been up to Lake of the Woods?
We actually moved up here permanently in 2015. I started guiding for Nick over at Zipple. It was right around 2010, 2011. And in 2013, I actually bought my first charter boat and started doing it on my own.
Yeah, Marshall, I remember one of the first conversations I had with you, I think was probably over at Wheeler's Point Resort. And you'd come in and we were just chit-chatting about fishing at the time. You were on some real big jumbo perch in the fall. I think you were over by Long Point getting them, and we had a good conversation about that. But, I mean, Marshall, I should also mention too, Brett, Marshall has really kind of become a celebrity. I mean, he started doing these weekly fishing reports, and I'll tell you, he does a good fishing report. He gives some really good pertinent information. I'll tell you, when he doesn't do it on Sunday, he kind of gets, Mark, you kind of get chewed out now, don't you, if you don't give your fishing report?
I'll get phone calls. I will. Or Sarah will get a phone call because she's in the office. She's like, we didn't see Marshall's video. Like this week, it didn't come till Monday because I was busy on Sunday. But, it's good. People like it. I'm not, like I would say, real good on camera or editing things. And Joe knows me. I've actually kept my mouth very clean through this podcast, right, Joe?
Appreciate that.
Thank you. Yeah, it saves me some work.
Marshall's podcast isn't over yet.
I'm a very outspoken person, and I don't sugarcoat things. I feel as if a fishing report should be a fishing report. When somebody calls me on the phone, I say it how it is. I don't, if I call somewhere, I want to know the fishing report. I don't want to just say, yeah, it's really good. Oh, fishing's awesome just because I want your money, and I'm not that guy.
Yeah, that's great.
So, Marshall, if I say right now, if I represent all Lake of the Woods, and I say that, you know what, those fish are spread out, and if you put in a whole day fishing, you can't time it. You can't say I'm going to fish just the morning or just the evening, but if you put in a whole day, you're going to sort through a lot of small fish, but by the end of the day, typically your bucket's going to look pretty darn good. Is that fair?
Yeah. The buckets this week have been fine. I mean, when we got 3 people in a house, like last night, we had quite a few 3s in houses. They didn't necessarily have full limits, but they had nice fish they came in with. I would say our fishermen yesterday were a little more on the pickier side. If you weren't going to be as picky, if you were going to throw some of them 14s in the box, they would have probably ended up, they were 3 short of 3 limits. They'd have probably ended up with all their fish, but they were here for 3 days, so they don't need it. They just eat a few every day, and by the end of the 3-day trip, they're going home with their limit, you know?
Nothing wrong with that.
Tell us about, sorry, Brett.
I just said nothing wrong with that.
No, that's good. And they were probably not keeping the 14th. I mean, hey, but you know what?
They were picky, and when they're picky and they know how to use their electronics, and the first thing you do when you dump a bucket on the gut table is when you see walleyes spill out of it, you're like, oh yeah, they know how to use electronics. They're catching them higher walleyes,
Marshall, talk about the jumbo perch. I mean, we've had a good population of jumbos, and then also talk about what you're seeing for eel pout.
Yeah.
Well, we've had a pile. It seems like this year we've had a pile of perch coming through the gut shack. And an occasional crappie here and there. I would say the crappies maybe not quite as many as the last couple of years, but perch numbers out in the mud right now seem to be really good. Pout, I don't know. I don't always see them. I think it's probably about the same as it has been for ones that have been coming through the gut shack. I guess we don't clean everybody's fish, so I don't know what everything's coming in. But no, there's definitely pout out there. And they're honestly, somebody asked me one time, what's my favorite fish to catch? And my straight up answer is the next one that bites my hook,
Yeah. Burbot are fun, man. It's like talking about tulies or whitefish, even, whatever, something that's been in the rod. You're gonna enjoy it up there. So Dan, I'm sharing my screen here real quick. Just
we're going call back here.
Yeah, we're going back just a little bit. It's Elam Cemetery. It's just northwest of town.
It's Elam. I'm sorry. Yep, I know where it's at.
Right there, and yeah, it was pretty neat going up there and finding that, because the short story, we didn't really know where exact, because the farm had been out of the family for a long time, which is a whole nother story. We didn't know where the cemetery was. We didn't know where they were buried. So I used to do radio in Fargo and brought my parents to town one time. We drove up there to Alvarado and we just started driving around, knocking on every church door and community center, and walking through every cemetery, looking at every gravestone that was covered with grass and dirt and trying to find it. We finally found them next to a tree with these tiny little grave markers that were half covered. And the last part I will tell you is the reason we don't have that farm there. And my grandpa had 4 brothers and a sister, and I don't know what happened, but his parents decided to get out of farming, and the bank took the farm. So the story goes, as it's been passed down in my family, that my grandpa went over to Warren, went into the bank, walked up to the banker and punched him in the nose. Spent a night in jail, and then found out later that his sister sold the farm and didn't tell anybody.
Oh.
So that's my Warren Alvarado story.
You know how when I went to that cemetery for the first time with your dad, how we found those? We couldn't remember where they were buried. And we're wandering around, and we had just gotten back from Canada. We had quite a long drive that day, and your dad had to take a leak, and so there's a tree there, and he's taking a leak, and looks over, and there they are. Found them. There they were. So
it's a small world.
Good times in Alvarado, Minnesota.
Well, it is a small world. Marshall said, well, I'll just tell you, it's, at the 13 miles, wherever you said, north of Thief River Falls.
East Grand Forks,
East Grand Forks, sorry. I even got it wrong. But East Grand Forks, and you're like, that's where my
family home.
Yeah. I wish we still had
That's
the farm.
crazy.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Marshall.
You guys are probably related.
You never know.
Well, actually, my family originated from over in that Wappin and Breck area, so we were imports to Alvarado.
Well, my grandma was from Lidgerwood, which is not too far from there. So
okay, there you go.
You never know. All right, we'll wrap this up now, unless you guys had anything else that you wanted to add.
Brett, I just say one more thing. I don't think we talked about, that right now the Minnesota DNR has an open comment period on some state grant and aid ATV trails. They call them OHV, off-road highway vehicles. But, there's an opportunity right now for a bunch of extra trails, state grant and aid ATV and UTV trails they could put in a south end of Lake of the Woods. And if this goes through, it's going to connect a lot of our South Shore resorts and Rainy River resorts to the extended trail system that goes through Beltrami Island State Forest. It goes all the way over to Warroad and Roseau, but then they also go south and also east. They go south and connect to trails that go all the way across the state. So, if this thing goes through, so I would say that if there's listeners out there that if you like to use, ATVs and UTVs, we got some beautiful trails, and literally in the near future, if this goes through, you're going to be able to literally unload right at one of our resorts. And our county roads, both in Lake of the Woods County and in Roseau County, you can drive OHVs on the county roads. You can't on state highways, but on the county roads, it's legal to drive those OHVs in both counties. So you're going to be able to connect to those trails, and I'll tell you, it's gonna lend itself to some really, really nice opportunities.
That is kind of nice. Fishing obviously gets the headlines up there, but there's a lot of other ways that you can recreate around the Lake of the Woods area. So how long is that public comment period through, Joe?
It's into mid-March, I believe. So, if you just do a Google on, Lake of the Woods, DNR, Lake of the Woods OHV trails, it'll pop up for you. And then there's, an area where you can put some comments. And really, if you're into that sort of thing, just say, hey, I think that'd be great for Lake of the Woods area. What a great opportunity, and I tell you, OHV, it's become so popular, especially with side-by-sides. But, the other thing that's kind of neat is what a great way for people to get out in nature and to truly enjoy nature. Up at Lake of the Woods, Beltrami Island State Forest is incredible. So much wildlife, so beautiful. It's huge, 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 huge. Not only are there actual trails going through that woods, but there's also a good number of dirt roads. So there's hundreds and hundreds of miles of trails up in that neck of the woods, and it's beautiful. All different kind of terrain. Some of it's coniferous, some of it's deciduous, some of it's, you got a little bit of everything, right? And it's just a fun area to explore. Plus, it's cool because you got resorts and such, periodically, which allows you to stop and, grab a sandwich or something of that sort.
Very cool. All right. Well, Marshall, why don't you run through where we can find you online, where we can see those fishing reports and everything else?
Well, you can find me. Fishery reports every week are at Lakeroad Lodge Motel and Charters on my Facebook page, or you can find us at Lakeroad Lodge at mncable.net is our email, and our phone number is 634-2336.
Whose phone number were you giving out there? Somebody just
I'll tell you what, Marshall, I missed you in Shakopee, and I'll tell you, a lot of the vendors did too. I tell you, I'm feeling really fresh going into Schaumburg, and I'm thinking last year I didn't feel quite as fresh.
It was a fun time.
Hey, don't they call that networking?
Networking, exactly.
Yep.
Tax write-offs.
Yeah. All right, and Joe, if people want to get a trip to Lake of the Woods planned, what should they do?
Hey, check out our website, and that is lakeofthewoodsmn.com.
Thanks for listening to the Fish Hunt Forever show. Download the Fish Hunt Forever podcast wherever you get podcasts or watch on the Fish Hunt Forever YouTube channel. If you like today's show, please give us a 5-star review. Find past shows, articles, news about regulations, and more at fishhuntforever.com.